Latest Iraqi Dinar news. And as always, pre- and post-RV information. Live Q&A to follow.
All right, well, let's kick things off. If you guys are following along at the CC News article, under today's date, I'm going to hit this first one. The title of it is Formed Parliamentary Economic Committee in Cooperation, Economic Parliamentary and the Central Bank to form a higher committee to start. And I'll start reading. Form the Parliamentary Economic Committee in cooperation with the Central Bank of Iraq, a joint committee to begin the process of deleting the zeros of the local currency. A member of the committee, Abdul Hussein Aptan, it is scheduled to begin the process of removing zeros from the local currency during the month of September next. He said that the Commission will provide technical and legal requirements, administrative and nature of the Iraqi market, and its relevance to the deletion of the zeros. He pointed out that the central bank promised that he could make a change of currency and delete the zeros in order to reduce the inflation in the country. The central bank announced it was considering the requirements of the project to delete the correct zeros of the local currency to enact a law governing the implementation of the project or not, noting he is looking this file with the cabinet because he is a national project to support the Iraqi economy. Woo! Okay. So they're getting a committee together to go over. They basically have agreed that they have scheduled to begin the process to remove the zeros during the month of September next, meaning this September. That's that broken Arabic English translation going on. When you see that September next, they really mean this coming September. And that they will provide the technical and legal requirements for the administrative nature of the Iraqi market and the relevance for deleting the zeros, and that they're changing the deletion of the zeros in order to reduce the inflation in the country. So, you know, they've got this committee to keep this going, to make sure that this stays on track and goes the way that it's supposed to go. They've set this date. They're sticking to it. They're telling you time and time again that no matter what, September, that new currency is coming out. What do you guys think?
Unmute, Mike.
Yeah, trying real hard.
Pick yourself up off the floor there, Mike. I know, right? It's there.
Some sticky glue or something.
Yeah, it happens like that sometimes. This article's been making its way around. It's been out there in the community. We've seen it over and over again now for a second or third day. And it's really good that they're putting together this committee out there, the Finance Committee. They pretty much, Dr. Shabibi is really, really a brilliant man when all things are said and done. He's really painted the political people into a corner. September, we were all wondering what that significance of September means and why it backs these people into the corner and why he has to get this done before September. And September is his drop-dead date, because if they want to start the new budget year, they'll start debating the new budget in September for the new budget of 2013, not 2012. And it is his goal to have that budget be reflected in the new dinars, or the new currency that they have. So he's kind of put Parliament in a rock and a hard spot and pushing them around so fast, so quickly, that it's kind of brilliant what he's doing. They're ready to do this. They're ready to move forward. They're really backing themselves into a corner, and we talked about these dates. They're really not hard dates, but they kind of move forward. They keep on moving forward from September. We've heard June, July. But in actuality, he's just trying to push this process along. I think he's ready to go at any point in time. And this is just another formality to get Parliament on. They were in silent session the other day. They got reprimanded today. They got beat back. We'll tell you a little bit about that on the political side. But it's all in the process. It's all good stuff going on.
Hey, I got a question for you. What do you mean by silent session? Does that mean like a whole bunch of monks getting together?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, because we don't know what's going on with silent session. It was probably a secret session more so than a silent session.
Okay.
They chant. But this committee is one more in the process that they needed to do. Truly is just to get the buy-in from the Parliament side. Parliament's kind of really bought into it, and we're starting to see the upswing. Last week we saw tons of articles coming out with really, really great news, and they released a lot of information. Dr. Shabibi talking, really pushing this thing forward. This week, all the economists are trying to weigh in now, and they're all trying to get their opinion in on what's going to happen. But I think he's got the most important people bought in, and he's ready to move forward. And this committee is just one more thing to cross off the list and move forward.
I agree. And they're so ready. I don't think they're as ready as we are, but they're ready.
Yeah, I think we're over ready, but they're doing it on their own time. They truly are moving along as fast as they can with the political process that they have and the things that they need to get done and the things that have gone, a little bit awry on the political side. But it's he's done well. I think it's going to be a case study in this when it's all done on how to properly RV your currency.
Right. True. Well, another huge sign and a big thing that's been released from the CBI that's out there, another step, another thing to show that they are ready is the next article I'm going to read. So if you guys are following along, it's entitled Central Bank, the Financial Budget for the Year 2013 will adopt the new currency in Arabic and Kurdish. Woo! I just love the title. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Ali Naji said the CBI, the financial budget of the federal 2013, will be approved in the new currency with Arabic and Kurdish. The deputy chairman of the CBI, the appearance of Mohammed in a statement to Quran that the Iraqi's new currency will be on January 1st, 2013, will be in both Arabic and Kurdish with the deletion of the 3 zeros of the first of the current currency, indicating the following, that the financial budget of the federal Iraq will be traded during the 9th month of the current year and recognizes in the new year according to the new currency of the two languages. Salih explained that the installation of the current currency led to inflation in the Iraqi market and has become inadequate with the financial situation now. The lack of the large groups and small to cover the trading them, noting that all the countries of the world that emerge from conflict are hit by the deterioration in the currency of the Gadi to modify its currency. Woo! All right, guys, there it is. Not only is it coming out in September, but they have officially said that the new budget will be calculated with the new currency with the deletion of the 3 zeros. Fantastico. Oh, fabulous. It's just it's so close. We are so close, you guys. I mean, this is the fact that they're gonna, do this new budget. That means come September, they're gonna know what all of that money is worth, and that's where the value of the money is going to come in. And if they're going to write up that new budget with the new currency, it's going to have some sort of value to it, and that value is not going to be what it is right now. So, I mean, this is fabulous, fabulous news. Scott, what do you think out there?
I think you got enough excitement for about 12 people, so I'm just soaking it in.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like I said before, it's really put Parliament in a bind because they start in September. We always wondered what these dates meant. Well, he released that first article and everybody went wild and said, are we going to have to wait till September? And again, everybody's probably thinking, well, we have to wait till September. I find it hard to believe that before you start figuring out what's in your next budget, because they don't start in September, they start a few months earlier than that. And they start like right now, start worrying about the budget for next year. And you have to know what that currency is going to be worth in order to figure out what the budget's going to be. So Parliament is now waiting on and waiting for the CBI in order to complete its business, where it's kind of was the CBI waiting on Parliament to complete its business so it can move forward. Very big steps in the whole scheme of things. I mean, I think if you look at where we were a year ago, 2 years ago, and with all the articles coming out, I can't believe that these articles are actually coming out and saying what they're doing. They've kind of had to do it this way because of the political situation in Iraq. But they have to do it. Like the article says, every war-torn country has to revalue its currency at some point in time. We've seen it in Kuwait. We've seen it after World War II. We've seen a lot of countries, after the governments have fallen, do this same sort of thing. So it's nothing new. It's nothing different. It happens. And you just have to be patient and wait for them to work through what they're going to work through. You can't time this event. It's going to be very, very difficult to time it. It's just going to have to happen when it happens, because part of the process is very secretive, and part of it we don't know what that process is. We only know what they tell us, and that's about the tip of the iceberg. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes on underneath, and the date and time is concealed. But, boy, I'll tell you, they're really putting pressure and moving forward, putting the pressure on, and there's some great stuff going on because of the pressure that the CBI has applied to everything.
And Mike, when they, in different articles they've talked about the coins, for example, coming up, the 1 and 2 dinar coins and all those things, and the coin is made of metal. Metal has a specific value that's internationally traded. You have to know what your dinar is going to be worth. If you're placing an order for precious metal to be melted into and minted into coins that are going to have a specific cost, you have to know what the specific value of that coin is going to be, monetarily speaking. Otherwise, if it's worth less than you're using to print it, to mint it, what the raw materials cost, and so all of that plays into that budget also, is these new bills, the new currency, and especially the new coins. And so, at some point when all these different things converge at the same point, it's, pressure from so many different directions. Yeah,
absolutely. It just is getting there, and they got to know that. You're right. You can't move forward without that value, and Dr. Shabibi knows what that value is, and he's getting ready to do it. He's put himself on a time scale, so all good stuff.
I put him on one too.
I bet we all have. He's kind of missed mine, though.
He missed mine, too. I'll give him another one. One more.
Yeah, we'll get one more shot at this, won't we? Yeah. How naive we are to think that we're bigger than this whole situation sometimes.
Got it.
It's understandable that all of this stuff is kept very close to the chest, because this is really something very powerful. It has to be secretive. It's got to be quiet, with the exception of the few people out there that really know when this is going to take place.
Yep.
Like the gurus out there, they're the only ones that would know. And other than that, we all just settle down and realize that we'll get the proper information when the gurus tell us it's proper time to give it to us.
Okay.
Sit
All
down.
right. Moving on.
Fire up that rubber room tonight.
I love it.
So was that your last article, Shannon?
Yes, it certainly was. I mean, what else?
Great articles.
Short of an RV, they're not getting much better. There's not much more.
I think we got one that's a little bit better. What do you think?
True. Yes. It's a combination of the two. Yeah. A little currency, a little government.
Yep.
So take it away there, Mikey.
Why don't we go ahead with the IMF article, Deb?
Oh, my favorite one. Okay. Iraqi Central, International Monetary, satisfied with our reforms to the financial. The Central Bank of Iraq on Saturday that the IMF is satisfied with the financial reforms implemented by the bank as part of his dealings. Iraq had decided since the beginning of 2006 to restructure state-owned banks. The deputy governor of the Central Bank, of the appearance of Mohammed Saleh, told the Kurdish news agency the IMF expressed his conviction that the financial reforms carried out by Iraq at the level of banking and financial dealings and development. He added that Iraq see the IMF with a bilateral agreement was signed between the two sides to strengthen the political development of banking and cash transactions. Saleh pointed out that the purpose of this convention, including evaluation, for conditions in Iraq and the areas of financial reform of the accounting system and mechanisms of exchange in the budget. The Iraqi government is still limited in its financial transaction on the government banks by 85%. And the IMF expressed recently his support of the Iraqi economy in the event of a number of economic measures, including raising 3 zeros from the local currency. Wow.
Say that one more time.
I'll say it again and again.
I wonder what hockey puck would say to that one.
And the International Monetary Fund expressed recently his support of the Iraqi economy in the event of a number of economic measures, including raising 3 zeros from the local currency.
Yay!
Yay. Well, let's break this down a little bit more.
Wow.
It is a wow.
Okay.
Not just the IMF, not just the CBI, but the IMF. Fabulous.
Yeah. Now, they don't control what's going on. They come in and they help. They give information. What most people don't know, they've been guiding Iraq and their banking system through this process of getting out from underneath the government, creating a firm central bank and creating a good medium of banking in Iraq. Well, on about June of last year, the IMF issued a little report that said we weren't kind of happy with your banking systems. You still have, basically their biggest problem was not how sophisticated the banking system was, but how much the government owned of the banks. You can't have a government owning the banks and then try to have a free market economy with the banking system. You want the government to divest what they have in the banks and not own the banks. Saddam owned the banks, and he was able to take the money, and the people had no confidence and no faith in the banks. So the banking systems are independent of the government systems, and they don't like to see government-owned banks trying to take control because it doesn't give stability in the country. So they were given a list of things to do, and apparently they've done these things. And when they sign this bilateral agreement, the International Monetary Fund comes in and starts to guarantee international loans, guarantees the projects and the money that's coming in, so there's nothing, if they don't pay you in Iraq, the International Monetary Fund pays. That's huge. That gives a lot of investors and a lot of people coming into Iraq the ability to know that the banking system's strong and that it's good, and that they support what's going on with the deletion of the 3 zeros. They see that it's good for the economy and good for what's going on inside of Iraq and inside of Iraq for the banking system. So, WOW, wow.
You got it, man.
Unbelievable stuff there. That's good stuff. That came out on Saturday. A couple of these articles that we were reading were Saturday. Saturday was a huge news day for this stuff. Sunday kind of backed off a little bit. We got back to the quibbling and all the stuff that goes on, and Maliki and Sadr throwing chairs at each other. Apparently they have a little disagreement now that Alawi's gone. Sadr doesn't feel like he has a voice, and he's speaking up to try to cause a little bit of a problem. I found it very interesting that the Parliament decided they were going to start pulling some stuff and not show up and try to head out of town for an early vacation because they have a 40-day vacation coming up. Well, Najafi said, no way, we don't have our work done, so get back here. We're still going to have to vote on some stuff and get some stuff through. Our job's not done, and we're going to fine you and make sure you're here. Don't go on vacation. We'll work all the way through this 40-day thing if we have to, if you don't get your stuff done. So that's huge, because Parliament has always been the, they were supposed to get their work done this week, and apparently there's still a few more things that need to get passed, and they need to be on it, and they need to do the job. The people are not happy with their government in Iraq. I've seen articles to the point where they're out there trying to take those polls like they do here in America, and the people are, they're tired. They're not making enough money. Their government seems to be bickering and fighting all the time, is what they see in the newspapers, and they don't feel like they're being represented properly. And you don't want the people to get that way. That's a huge pressure on Parliament to get their work done. And in response to that, we see, the head of Parliament saying, let's cut the crap, guys. Let's get to work. We got stuff to get done, and let's get it done, and then we can go on vacation and holidays and go celebrate the Arab Summit at the end of the month. And there was a video from Al Jazeera that was covering the Arab Summit at the end of the month, and the Al Rashid Hotel is in beautiful shape. Downtown looks good. They're all excited and ready to go, and they're spending millions of dollars to get this done, and it's going to need to be paid for. And they're hoping that they can get people interested in investing. Last year, Saudi Arabia didn't think it was secure enough. This year, they're participating, and everybody seems to be fine. Although the guy said you might hear of a bomb outside the city, but we should be fine here in the green zone, and everybody should be safe. They'll be hustling people in and out. So they're excited. They're very excited to showcase Iraq at the end of the month. So let's hope that they can get everything they need to be done and make this a pure showcase to the rest of the world, as opposed to a partial showcase, which they've done in the past, and not having everything completed. So, wow, good stuff going on.
Yeah. Especially when there's kings and presidents and all that coming in,
Yeah, that's huge stuff. I mean, they get to be the center of attention in the Arab world, and they get to say a lot about what's going on. So,
yeah, I loved it when I read that article where it said they're going to start taking action against those members who don't show up.
Yeah. Go get them out of their homes, get them back here, and let's vote. They had a solid 220.
Throw a chair at them.
Yeah, 220 of them out there, and it's funny to read sometimes how these reporters characterize some of these arguments and things that go on, and the words that they choose, like the article with Sauder and Maliki fighting. I mean, it sounded like a WWE cage match, and truly, I think it was more a war of words than it was a physical altercation. But when you read the article, you were figuring out like it was like they were in a cage and throwing things at each other and getting ready to come to fisticuffs. But you're going to see this because you have those factions there. Not everybody's going to be happy. There's always going to be some people that are not there. But once the money starts to flow, and the RV happens, and there are things flowing back out to the people, and these political people like Sauder and these other people who were these military people and in control can have some money, they'll start singing a different tune, once they see what's in it for them. And I think that's kind of what you're starting to get. Everybody's starting to get a little cranky about it now, from the CBI all the way through Parliament. And I think they're just as fed up as everybody else is and want to get some things done. But they have a more important thing to do, which is showcase themselves at the end of the month. And they really need to get on track to do that and get things accomplished, get their government together and move forward.
Okay.
So let's talk about the preparatory committee for the national meeting.
Okay. The preparatory committee to meet national on Monday to discuss its agenda. Member of the preparatory committee of the parliamentary head of the Liberal bloc. The national meeting of the preparatory committee will meet Monday to discuss the agenda of the forthcoming national meeting among political parties. He said the preparatory committee for the national meeting will meet Monday to discuss the agenda and proposals on standardization worksheets and the applications of the political blocs and national alliances of Kurdistan and the Iraqi list. Leaders of political blocs intend to hold a national meeting that was equipped by a small committee during the preparatory meetings. Political papers of large blocs to reach a unified vision and resolve the current political crisis before the Arab summit scheduled for the 29th of this month.
Yes. And the reason that this is important is because we read an article the other day that said as soon as they can agree on the agenda, they're going to go ahead and kind of schedule this thing up. So it's got a rolling date, and more than likely we'll hear about it happening after the fact. But this agenda is very important to moving that forward. Sounds like they've gotten most of everything hashed out and that this is going to happen soon. So we're still moving along very, very, very quickly with everything that's going on. Still positive. They're still talking. They're still moving forward. They just work really slow over there, don't they?
Yes, they do.
You know, it's almost like they can take 2 days and get something done and then, okay, let's go on vacation. It's time to go. Let's go. We did enough work. Let's go back out on vacation. But there's still more to be done. There's a lot to be done. And the political blocs need to iron out their differences so that they can get in there and do it and get it moving in the right direction.
Or it's already done and we just don't know it.
Yeah, that could be it too. Yeah, we're sort of looking at it after the fact, so we're about a day behind and maybe a day and a half behind in news too. So there could be almost a 2-day swing in there. So there's a lot going on that we don't know about. But I think it's more positive than it is negative that's going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And last but not least, let's talk
about
I have
Kuwait. 2.
Oh, what do you got?
I've got Kuwait and WTO.
Oh, I forgot about the WTO. We'll do that last.
Can't forget about that.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do Kuwait.
Okay, Iraq expects Kuwait will write off loans. Maliki asked Kuwaitis to invest in Baghdad. The Kuwaiti suggestion to convert the compensation which Iraq has to pay to Kuwait into investments cannot solve the problem because Iraq is not responsible for acts committed by Saddam Hussein. Spokesman of the Iraqi government told Al-Anba Daily. He said Iraq has already paid $30 billion in compensation and another $4 billion last, and expects Kuwait to take a lenient view of the situation, given their fact the United Arab Emirates, Russia, and other countries have dropped their due loans in the best interests of the Iraqi nation. He added, Maliki has strong desire to settle all pending files with the Kuwaiti government. Asked if the Prime Minister will ask during his visit to Kuwait to write off the debts, he said this is an old request and all officials request the loans to be dropped during their visits. He pointed out all files will be tackled during the visit, such as the common oil fields, the airlines, the 2 cases of missing persons, and the archive. On Iraq's delay in demarking the borders and accepting the Kuwaiti offer about farmers, he said that these are part of the pending files which should be discussed in a brotherly atmosphere. He stressed the 2 sides need to take courageous decisions. He also indicated the current circumstances are suitable for getting rid of the past, which influences negatively the mutual relations between the 2 sisterly countries. Speaking of the Port Mubarak, he said the issue will be discussed calmly with Kuwait. He added Iraq feels it endangers its interests, thus it needs reassurances from Kuwait. However, Kuwait has sovereign right to build the port, but without harming the Iraqi interest. Earlier, the Speaker of the Iraqi Parliament, Najafi, was recently quoted as saying, the file Port Mubarak, which is being built by Kuwait, is still a subject of discussion between the 2 countries. He said he wants to portray the real picture to the Kuwaiti side and hopes both sides will agree to common interests. Najafi pointed out that the Iraqi side is waiting to see what stand the Kuwaiti Parliament will adopt. However, this can only be determined after the concerned party is acquainted with the subject over the next few days. He described the bilateral relations between the two parties as good. Maliki said Kuwaiti investors will face no obstacles in his country and all economic sectors will be made available for them. In a discussion held between Maliki and Buck Hamseen group of companies, Maliki said Kuwaitis should consider Iraq as their second country and that Iraqi government will work on removing any obstacles the Kuwaitis investors could face in Iraq. He said a representative of the group will visit Iraq to study the investment opportunities, which will ultimately strengthen the relations between the two countries. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you know, Maliki reminds me of the street corner guys, or the window washers. You know, they come up, they spray your windows, and like, give me money. Man, this guy is good at getting rid of his debt, isn't he? I mean, he's almost out there like every day, like, give me more debt. We need this debt. We don't need this. Get rid of it.
That's a good analogy.
I keep on thinking every time I see this because this guy just doesn't stop. He's always, get me out of Chapter 7, give me more money, forgive our debt, and let's move forward. It's like, man.
I got to mute out.
Yeah. Can you spare some change for a brother, I think he said.
Or sister.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. It's very, very funny to see him. And we laugh a little bit about it. And one of the things that he has done is he's been able to work with these other countries to get a lot of this debt removed. It's kind of, you scratch my back, we'll scratch your back. And the issues are pretty much this. One, we've already made sure that we're going to RV, and you guys are happy with whatever that price we're going to RV is, because I believe that's what the Kuwait thing was. Two, they've already said that they want to invest in Iraq. Three, he's given them an alternative to having to pay this, but you can invest it back into Iraq, because it's money that they really don't need to pay back because Saddam did all this stuff. But, you know, the Kuwaiti people were pretty PO'd when Saddam came in and burned their oil wells and did what he did. But the Port of Mubarak is very, 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 very important. Other than the oil platform that they just built to get their oil out to the sea and load ships, that Port of Mubarak is a southern port that will allow them to get their oil out of Iraq. They need to come to an agreement with these people on this port so that they can get their oil moved. That's very, very important to the lifeblood of the economy of Iraq and their oil, to have that southern port. They're landlocked. They have much more than any other Arab nation because they have water running through. The Tigris and the Euphrates run through Iraq, so they can have agriculture. They have a lot of things that the other countries don't have, but they don't have a southern port for oil. So this Kuwait deal is very important for them, for the importance of them to really be successful in the future to get this done. And it's going to get done. It's not that it's there. This is just sort of the Maliki putting out, giving the Kuwaitis an out, and hoping, you know, just as you deal with Iraq and the parliament could mess things up, or the president deals with somebody and our Congress doesn't pass the laws that he wants them to pass, or, you know, treaties and stuff. Same thing goes here. He's just worried about that Kuwait just changed their government, and he's kind of putting some stuff out there to get the parliament in Kuwait to agree with whatever their people are bringing back to them and say, okay, let's go ahead and let's get this done. And you notice he really speaks very, very highly of letting the Kuwaiti people come in, and, you know, we're brothers, we're sisters, come on in. We have open gates for you guys. So we've always had an opinion here that a lot of these are formalities. It's nice to see this good banter going back in the paper, and to see that you know, Kuwait has this opportunity to invest in Iraq and put that money back in. And I think it's going to be pretty much a moot deal when it's all done. I think they've pretty much gotten everything satisfied. I think there's just a few sticking points on the port, which there always will be. And those are just money. Who's sharing in the revenues? How much are they going to pay to ship their oil out? Who gets what? Don't forget, it's all about that on the oil side of the business more so than it ever is about any of these other little things that pop up. It's about who's going to get paid and how much they're going to get paid when it's all said and done. And those numbers will be banded across, and we'll never know those, but eventually they'll come to something that will be agreeable, and they'll move forward. But from this point, it looks like they are all agreeable to letting them get out of Chapter 7 and resolving any differences that they have.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
Yep. Yes, it is.
last but not least, people probably want to know what's going on with the WTO.
Yep. A seminar on what? You want to say something first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, one of the reasons we're reading this article is because we read an article similar to this when Russia got accepted to the WTO. Right, Deb?
Yes, we did.
Very similar. It was like an article, and then a week later, Russia was accepted to the WTO. So I want to read this article and kind of keep that in mind as we go forward.
Okay, a seminar on Iraqi's ascension to the WTO. Held the Department of Foreign Economic Relations, Ministry of Commerce Educational Seminar at the Ministry of Communications for the definition and awareness of Iraqi's ascension to the WTO. An official source at the ministry, the lecturers have included a detailed explanation of the emergence of the WTO, principles, and its overall objective of the expansion and liberalization of trade, and increase production and optimize the use of global resources and ensure that developing countries, especially the least developed, on a large share of growth in international trade, as well as focusing on the nature of the relationship between Iraq and the organization, and discuss the required files of Iraq's own ascension process and the mechanism of settlement of international disputes under the WTO. The source added that ascension will open up markets to 153 countries, a permanent member of the organization, and encourage increased exports to those member states, leading to an influx of capital into Iraq, as well as the exported goods to Iraq treated as national products, as well as to achieve ascension to stimulate Iraqi products to compete with good countries other and increase foreign investment, helps to increase hard currency within the country.
Yes.
Yes.
So it would behoove Iraq to have a tradable currency in order to gain ascension to the WTO. It may not. It's not that it's a requirement, but in order to be trading with these countries, which what they say hard currency, and moving back and forth, you just stumble when you can't pay with something in your own currency that's valuable, as opposed to having to pay with, U.S. dollars or Great British pounds or whatever. Especially when the WTO is very, very much in the process of helping these third world countries. So the dominoes are in place. And this leads me to my sort of summary today of, you want to know where we're at in this process. I guess everybody asked that question. I asked that question. We all ask it. Where are we at? Well, we've got some great articles from the CBI today. The CBI has talked and started a committee for the deletions of the 3 zeros. They've set a timeline of September to have this done. They've also stated from the CBI that they want to have the 2013 to be adopted with the new budget dollars from the new money that's there. They start deliberating on that budget in September. So they need to know what the value of that currency is in September. Let's leap forward. We go to the IMF. The IMF has come out and said, we like your banking system. You've completed everything that we've asked you to complete in the banking system, because they had some things to complete. You need to make sure that your government-owned banking systems are, you divest from that and you move forward in giving, national banks the opportunity to come in and do the things that they do. They've agreed to looking at the budget and saying that their current budget looks good, everything is great, we're happy with it. And by the way, we support the dropping of the 3 zeros, which in turn builds pressure onto the Parliament to get things done. We've learned that they're ready to discuss the agenda for the national meeting. We know that the national meeting needs to be done. My guess is, and my opinion is that in this national meeting, they're going to really come to the formation of their government and seeing how it's run. I think we've seen glimpses of that over the last week and a half with the articles that we've read, that they're starting to act, and we're starting to see different people come to the forefront. If you look at the news, the Kurds, Barzani, they have new governments forming underneath their branches underneath them. People are moving around. Alawi stepped to the wayside. We've got a lot of different players moving along. This is the precursor to this national conference to get these players in place to move forward. And we're hearing that Kuwait is ready to kind of invest in Iraq and that that's kind of all done. As we've pushed all of those things off, there's great pressure for him to, one, get this done. He's put a lot of information out, and when I say him, I mean Dr. Shabibi. He's put a lot of information out to the public. He's put pressure on Parliament because he knows by September he has to have his new currency out. He has to have it have some sort of value that they can ascertain what that budget's going to be. We talked earlier that you've got coins and things that you're printing. They have a specific value, so you can't put out currency that's going to be less valuable than what's printed on it or what you're putting out. All these things together, and when they start talking about the dropping of the 3 zeros, they're talking about war-torn countries getting their economy back on, and that is done through the process that we know of, RVing or reinstating and moving forward. We know that they had a strong, viable currency in the past of $3.22 before all of that, before the war, and in the 70s they had a very viable currency that was pretty much out there and backed. We know that they have the resources. We're seeing articles that are telling us that their resources are very deep. The oil resources are bigger and better than expected. That their outlook for them being in OPEC is just tremendous. They're going to head that. They're going to be a part of that. You've got the Arab Summit coming in at the end of this month, which is very important for Iraq to put on a good face to make sure that they can present a country that is together, a country that has one vision to move forward, and that people want to deal with them and go forward. And you're going to hear articles coming up on getting the last thing out of the way, which is the HCL agreements done. There's a lot of articles out there. They're still fighting about it. There's nothing really definitive on it. But it's all moving towards this pressure point. That pressure point is the Arab Summit. They need to make sure that their government gets done and that they look like a government. Not necessarily that they have RV'd their currency, but they definitely need to make sure that their government is in place and that they can function and get these Arab countries to come together, invest. Two, how can they sit there, talk about the other regimes, because the Arab conference is going to come out with these, edicts and these things about Iraq and Syria, and that we want you to be better governments and all this other stuff. You look kind of funny if your government's not kind of set or stable to go ahead and call other people's governments unstable and we want you to do this. So it takes away from the credibility of all that nonsense when they're out there. So there's a good amount of pressure being pushed forward. And I think you see a lot of that being expressed in the community out there. Now, we don't know the date and time that he's going to RV. We certainly see the pressure points are building. We certainly know his drop-dead date is September to get his currency out there and to delete these 3 zeros, redenominate, and RV. Somewhere along that process, he has to do that RV. He is pressured to the point because he's got inflation going on that he has to do something soon, and I don't think he's talking about waiting till September to get that done, based on what I've seen, although he probably can wait if he's pushed. And it all really relies on the government being seated and that they're moving forward. He's got the support of the IMF. He's got the support of the World Bank. He's got everything that he needs other than his government acting and functioning like a good government and doing what they said they were going to do, get their oval done. And truly, more so to him than the government, I think it's the HCL. He needs to know that those contracts are going to be signed and not disputed and that there's not going to be a problem with the oil revenues because his economy is based on those oil revenues. So if you look at the HCL agreement, he probably puts more weight on that than he does the ministers at this point in time, because if he doesn't know how those are going to be signed, if there's going to be lawsuits that come up because somebody's not signing properly or it's not in place, it's not done according to the Constitution, it's going to be a way hurt on his economy down in the future when everything starts to bubble up and they start making lots of money and then that stuff comes in. So you're looking at a really, really difficult period of time for him to make sure that these things are up. So there's many marbles that are up in play. But he seems to be ready to go and to do what he needs to do once he feels comfortable that those couple of things are left to move forward. So the dominoes have started tipping. We're a lot closer than we were a year and a half ago. And again, I always caution saying we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what needs to be done, what things have to be passed. We can see them after the fact. We can guess at those, but it's, there are things that will need to get done, and, he's just got so much information out there now that he's ready to do this and that he's done. He's been showing that signal. Let's hope that Parliament gets that signal and they can get it done, and then he can get it done, and we can all get her done. And there you have it.
Great
Thank
job.
you, Mike. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Debbie, thank you.
You're welcome.
Shannon, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
I thank you. I thank you all, guys.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, Debbie, in opening up the room, I'd like everybody to know that truly we do everything we can for everybody. We really do have a lot of concern for a lot of people in the community. And we do try to bring you all the news that makes some sense. We do question everything. We just bring it to you. We do some joking around, which I think is a good thing. We also try to keep everybody level-headed to what this RV is going to mean when it takes place, and not to wait up until 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, as you've heard in the past. Having said all of that, there is a serious note that I'd like to mention to everybody, and that was something we brought up over a number of weeks ago, and we've on occasion brought it up a couple other times. And this involves a product that we brought to the community because of concern toward 3 people that I had at that particular time, which was Tim, Diana, and Diana's son. And since that period of time, the results that we have seen, not only for them, but for numerous, numerous other people, cannot be hidden. So I want everybody to know that we're going to be doing a special call on this product, as well as this is going to be tomorrow night, Monday, 8 p.m. And the key speakers are going to be Tim and Diana, and hopefully 1 or 2 others. But I think you really need to know and hear what has happened to Tim with his life. We're grateful that he is back. What has happened to Diana? You haven't heard it all, guys. You haven't heard even part of it. And what you're going to hear through them may affect big time yourself or a loved one or a friend. And I'll say it over and over and over again. This RV doesn't mean a damn thing if we can't be around to see it RV or to utilize it. Having said that, it'll be tomorrow night, this call. The phone number is 760-569-7676. It's a different PIN code than this one. It's 861-537-pound. The call will be live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will tell you that we start the calls right on the money. So if you want to hear it all, please tune in 2 or 3 or 4 minutes early And Diana, is there anything that I might be missing here that we need to tell everybody?
No, I think you pretty much covered it all. The only thing is, should they not have been able to take the number down for whatever reason, maybe they're driving or something, they can always go to the front page of the IQDteam.com and scroll all the way down the first page. You'll see the banner there with the phone number and PIN codes. That's about all I could think of. Other than that, I think you covered it pretty good, Yukon.
Okay. Thank you very much. I thank you all for listening. I think it really would behoove you to listen in one time and really hear what's going on. Having said that, Debbie, why don't we open up the boards and let people start taking some questions?
Okay, before I do that, Mike, did you want to save that other information for later?
Oh, let's talk real quick about that.
Yeah, I think that's a rumor, not a rumor, but something out in the community. I think it's real important.
Yeah, I think so. Why don't you explain a little bit about what we saw?
Well, I received an email from somebody, and I get a lot of rumors, and it was from Delta, and it was regarding, I guess Delta's on Frank's forum, about a posting in the MRI Guide, which is the Money Resource Institute guide. I did a little research today exactly what that guide is. I'm not sure what you want me to tell them, Mike.
Well, basically this guide is sold to the banks, and it does a number of things. One, it keeps them abreast of the situations around the world on international currencies. Two, it provides a book with all the security features in the banks so that they can check and see what's going on and what they have, if they have new currency, what those security features are. So banks can look in that book along with other resources the banks have. This just isn't. This is one resource, and it's a company. It's not a government agency or anything like that puts this information together, and then they sell it to banks. So they're in business to do this. So they try to keep the banks abreast of any situations that are going on. And there were some interesting. There are some articles in there about Iraq talking about the redenomination and that they're going to be redenominating soon. And it links to some of the articles that we have read so that the people that are there can have those. And we're trying to keep an eye on this book to see if any of those small denomination pictures will come out in this book, because this would be the book that it would come out in. And I think we got a little confused because somebody thought there were pictures in there, but we went through and there were no pictures of any of the smaller denoms that were in there, or the newer denoms with the Kurdish writing on them. But it does telling the banks who subscribe to that particular book that there is something going on with the Iraq currency, and that they should see new currency.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
So I mean, it's important that, to the fact that there's people in the banking industry acknowledging this again. I think that's very important. We always get people that want to say, is this really going to happen, or what's going on? And we show them articles about what happened in Kuwait, and there's just a lot of good information out there. This is just one more source or resource that tells us something's going on with this currency. At some point in time, there's going to be some new denominations issued, and that they're going to revalue that currency, and that's what this book is basically telling the banks who subscribe to them, that there is something going on.
Yeah, it's an update page, and I didn't post this yet today, but what it is, it's a book that you can buy and get updates, and I'm sure the banks do that. But there's also an update page, and it goes back as far as, for the updates, to November of 2011. So there was 3 different things about Iraq. One was the Central Bank of Iraq denied rumors that a 50,000 dinar note was to be issued. The other was, and that was linked to the Currency Newshound article. This one I thought was really interesting, dated March 2nd. There are 2 varieties in the Iraqi $25 dinar notes. Those dated 2003 and 2004 are heavier, 1.33 Gs, while the 2009 and 2010 ones weigh 1.28 Gs. Do you think they weigh these things when they come in, or what?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That was kind of strange.
Well, because when they count money, if you go into a bank, those machines don't actually count the money. They actually weigh it.
Oh, I didn't know.
And then that's how they know how much dollars that you have on there. So that's a very important fact, because you could be off when you go to weigh that money to count it. So if I came in and I had a basket full of 25,000 notes, they don't sit there and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They put them on a scale. They know how much each of them weigh, and it says, okay, there's $1 million here.
That's
so
cool.
if there is a difference in weight, that could cost the bank a lot of money. So you can see that it's very specific information about the currencies that they all handle. So that's very interesting. And it's just a different.
Well, that was a specific entry with no link to any article dated March 2nd. And I thought that was really good. And then there was one more dated March 5th linked to the Kurdish Globe article.
Right.
So I will post this in the morning, but in case any of y'all saw that post by Delta that, hey, get ready, it's coming, it could be, but we don't know.
We don't know. We want to put it out there so that you can see what it is. It's just another piece of news, not to get too excited about, but, obviously that these publications who deal with this type of stuff, and this is one of them, there are more, and they are different, are expecting something to happen with this particular currency.
Yep, good.
Enough to put it included into their book. So that's a good thing.
Yes, it was. All right. Anything else, anybody?
Deb, I sent you an email. When you get a second, can you look at that? That was about a specific article that I want you to look for.
Yeah, as soon as I finish the list, can I wait till after that?
Yes, ma'am, you can. I just wanted to alert you that was there. Thank you.
Okay. And I got to reboot to boot, Okay. All right, guys. What we do here is we take questions, and we'll take seven at a time. What you do is star 6 on your phone to unmute to say your state. You'll tell your state. I'll call it back to you, and we take, like I said, one at a time. Try to keep your questions short. We're going to try to get as many callers in tonight as we can. With that said, first state. Are we open?
Yeah, the board's open.
Okay.
Star 6 and there you go.
California.
Maryland.
Kentucky.
Maryland, Kentucky.
Hello.
Yes. Your state, sir?
Texas. Hi. California.
Texas. This is what I have so far. California, Maryland, Kentucky, and Texas.
Okay, this is California.
British Columbia.
California 2.
Florida. California 1.
Okay. British Columbia.
Okay, hold on. I've got California, Maryland, Kentucky, Texas, California 1, Florida, British Columbia, and I think there's another California. That's it. Okay, California, you're up.
Thank you very much, and thank you for this afternoon. I was just wondering if any of you know, I talked to my banker today. Actually, I called him at home, and we were talking about the Iraqi dinar, and, he's following, like we all are, which I had been educating him over time, and he called me and told me that he told me today that they are trading the Iraqi dinar at $3 or $4 within the Middle East.
Yeah.
Do you have that information?
No. They're trading at $3?
$3 to $4 within the Middle East, and he said they've been doing that for a while.
It's possible that you could have these side traders, currency traders that are on the borders that trade. They will trade on speculation, not based on any.
That's probably what it is, because he talks to his currency department a lot.
Yeah,
but he said it's only in the Middle East right now.
Yeah, that would kind of make sense, but I wouldn't lay a lot of credence into that. They either are trying to either play something that they don't know about, and they're trying to be ahead of the game, basically try to figure out where that is. They're trying to pre-jump it again. So it's possible that could be true, but I have no verification because we wouldn't be able to verify that with anyone that we have.
Okay, and the other quick question would be, since we've been talking a lot about September, but I get the gist that it's possible it'll be before then, the RV.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Debbie, Mike, I'm also California.
Let's get to the end of this list.
I don't know where the other California came, but I just have a quick question.
I'll put you at the end, John. I'll put you at the end, okay? Did you say your name during that?
Yeah, I did. I thought I was the first.
Okay. I'll get you in. Let me get to Maryland and the other people ahead of you, John, first.
Just
okay,
have one
sweetheart?
quick look, and I won't be long.
Maryland, you are up.
Oh, okay. I just came on a few seconds ago, but I talked to a banker of mine in California, and it's a lot going on. Now, he told me, Ron told me, he's with Bank of Life and Casualty Company in California. He said that a friend of his went to London, England, and cashed in $1 million Iraqi dinars at the rate of $4. But he's got millions more. That's the truth. So what the lady's saying is true. He did go to London. I got that from top source. Now, another thing, we are supposed to get a pure trust. The people is going to have a trust. Non-interest-bearing, irrevocable account.
Okay, let me stop you right there, ma'am. We don't get into the trust and things here, okay?
Oh, you don't?
We don't want advice from any. No, we don't.
All right. Well, I
want
to ask you one more question. On this site, are you, when this actually comes down to the wire where people can actually go to the bank and start cashing in here in the United States, are you going to post it?
You mean bank packages and so forth like that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mike, you want to answer that, or Yukon or somebody?
Yeah, no, we don't do bank packages because they're just basically all things that you can go out and negotiate on your own. There's nothing special to those packages that anyone has or do. So we would prefer that you go and negotiate your own deal when you go in because they'd be specific to you and your financial needs and what you have in your community. As opposed
no, I'm
to
asking a question
generally...
about when the dinar is finally revalued to the point where you can go and cash in somewhere, whatever, the airport, anything. I'm talking about, are you going to give the confirmation of the
well, yeah. Well, once we can cash in and we physically, and I plan on being one of the first people to try the process out with a small denomination so that I can come to the call and tell you people exactly what the process was and how I was treated and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely, yeah. We'll definitely.
Oh, you will?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what I want to know.
So,
okay, and thank you very much. Have a blessed
day. Mike's going to be here 24/7.
Like you realize we're going to be in line with these people.
Yeah.
Hey, should I take some pepper spray with me to the bank or what?
No, just don't carry a lot with you.
No,
we'll have
I don't have any more.
information out there for you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you very much for everything. God bless all of you.
Yes, and we will be open after the RV right away. Okay.
You will?
Kentucky.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Kentucky, you are up.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Hi. Are you as sad as I am today?
Yeah, I had heard a little, but maybe that was a good thing for us.
I know. Okay, go ahead. Wildcats lost, guys. Sorry.
We're a little humble. That's okay. We're still number one.
Hey,
Mike, I have a question for you. Could you? I'm going to take the pessimistic view, and I would absolutely summarize everything that you kind of finished your dialogue with as to kind of what they're doing, where they're at, kind of what this Arab conference means to them. I would just agree with you. But what I would ask you to do, you did a little of this. Let's walk through Iraq not, doing what they do best, which is nothing. Let's walk through them not getting anything done, and the Arab conference starts. They don't have their government in place. They don't have their HCL. They don't have their money revalued. Walk me through your thoughts. If that does happen, how do you see the pressure building at that point? What is this, from my perspective, here's my take on this. And that dialogue you had is the dialogue me and my close group pretty much went through. So these guys are having an economic conference trying to get people to invest in their country, trying to get some of the Arab rules and trying to pull together as a coalition and, really make the Arabs as a whole united and strong. So they don't have these things to bargain with, but they want to get people to invest. They don't have money to pay these guys. So my assumption at some point is, they do this conference. I got to assume that there's some jokes and sneers going on behind their backs. And then when they get done with the conference, people are making these huge deals. And I see kind of three choices, one of which they don't believe Iraq will revalue, so they go through the meeting that way. Number two, Iraq has to give them some sort of a consensus that we are going to do it, but we're going to do it in a little bit later and give them plenty of time to go buy some extra dinars. Or three, just not going to do it, but yet try to get them to bring and entice them to bring their investment into the country. So could you walk me through if they, do what they normally do and do end up there without it. How do you kind of see that pressure cooker for Maliki and the people? Because here's the other unique thing in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would assume they're going to have some reporters that are not under Maliki's thumb at this event. And I would assume that some of these stories are going to get told, not only to the world, but also to the countrymen of Iraq, that when everybody leaves and they still don't have anything, what do you see that looking like?
Well, one, I don't think Maliki has the press underneath him as much as everybody tries to give him credit for. I think he's just been the master negotiator from his standpoint. So he'll be able to, if they don't RV, he'll come out smelling like a half rose. But what nobody realizes, all the articles that we've read, is Dr. Shabibi has told the Arab countries that by September he's doing something. So they pretty much know that September is his drop dead date. So as far as the revaluation goes from where the Arab conference goes, you've got Dr. Shabibi saying, well, my new budget in 2013 needs to be in the new dollars, okay, and September's my drop dead date. So that became sort of a non-point for the Arab conference. The government is more the new point that needs to be done. The RV is probably, they've got assurances from Dr. Shabibi that September is his drop dead date. So central bank's kind of telling them he's thrown his cards on the table, which is risky for him because he's letting people know that something's going on with his currency, and he risks a run on his currency. So he's up the pressure to get the government to do what they're going to do. But he's kind of given the Arab world, a good idea of where that money's coming from based on the oil revenues and the central banks. They've got their assurances that sometime in September something's going to happen. So, they don't necessarily have to have things done before that date. If things start to break down, it is sort of there's a pressure valve that can be released. But then it just, from that point forward, if it's not done, the pressure is just tremendous because September comes up on these guys very quickly. And if they don't have it together, then something's going to happen in September. And no matter who's in place, those people that are in place will be very powerful people at that particular point in time. So the political parties, you see them shuffling right now to get people in place and to do the things that they need to do. So it's just my opinion that Dr. Shabibi's played his cards very, 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 very well at this point in time, and he's pretty much taken that off the table at the Arab conference because that becomes a non-starter for them because they know in September something's going to get done.
That's a great answer. Do you think that if they don't go through this, but they have that kind of gauntlet thrown out by Shabibi, in some ways, do you think it does slow the initial investment down to a little bit closer toward that date? So, because they know it's Iraq just like we know it's Iraq, do you think, these guys are trying to get these funds started, as of this month, but maybe these people say, well, maybe we wait a little bit closer to September and then we come in and invest?
You do. You can. It's a risk. There's a risk and reward. I'm sure he's gone through what he's doing, and that's the pressure that's on the government. Okay, of slowing down that investment. They don't want to slow that investment down at all. So if you can kind of talk about the perfect storm that he's created, there you have it.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly
I'm very happy that I'm very happy that we've seen all this stuff out there. And it puts a lot of pressure on the whole process to get it done quickly.
I've also been of the mindset that these friends of Maliki that are close to him, as the pressure mounts on him, I think he's going to turn around and there's not going to be anybody behind him.
Well, they gotten rid of the biggest problem, which was Alawi, and he was causing more problems than anything else, and it was more personality conflict than it was anything else over past issues. So, you saw how quickly that got resolved, and he's been to the wayside, and things have started moving again. So my guess is either you get out of the way or your political career is going to be moved out of the way for you. So, and I use Alawi as a good example.
Thanks a lot. And you don't think he stepped aside to take the higher position as the Strategic Council comes around?
No, I think he's going to be pushed out of the political process. I think he's going to be lost in this whole mess. I think he played his hand as hard as he could, and he lost.
Yep, works for me. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Kentucky. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm sending you quite a few emails that you might want to look at.
Okay, thank you very much.
I can't read them all while I'm taking the board, though. I got your other one. It looks okay.
Okay,
Woo.
thank you.
Texas, you're up.
Can you hear me?
I'm hyperventilating. I'm sorry. Texas, yeah, you're up. I can hear you.
Oh, how's everybody doing? Okay, right?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Listen, Mike, I got a few things. I think we forgot to mention one more party that's with putting the pressure on Parliament to drop the zeros or raise the zeros, however you want to look at it. And that's you remember back a couple of months back, Maliki took the deleting of the zeros to one of the universities there in Baghdad. I mean, I don't know which one it was, and he gave it to the Economist to figure that out. And the Economist came right back and told him, "Hey, man, you got to do this, and it's the right thing to do. It's the right time to do it, and you have to do it." Do you remember that?
Yeah, there was a few, but my impression of that was he took it to the Economist because he didn't want to have it done at that point in time, and he was hoping that they were going to put some negative information. And we did see a lot of negative articles coming out that were related to that, where you kind of split that down the middle, and half of them said, yeah, it was good, and half of them said, no, it wasn't good. And they've been flushing articles out of that school about once every month or so. Two good ones and then one bad one, two good ones and then one bad one, based on the Economist who's ever writing it. And we just had a flurry of good ones come out in the last couple of days, and then I think I saw one bad one today where they came out and said, well, this isn't the time to do that, in their opinion.
Okay, also, I don't know, did you read an article where Maliki's trying to replace Dr. Shabibi? Did you read that article?
No, not at all. I haven't seen that at all. If you read it, please forward it.
There's an article out there where he's trying to replace Dr. Shabibi, and you know that ain't going to happen.
Do you have that article? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I read it in the NAR Vets. If you go on there, you'll probably see it in there.
Okay, because I like to track that down. I usually if I see one of an article, I really like to research it a couple of times. He's tried many times to go up against Dr. Shabibi, but it'd be very difficult.
It ain't going to happen. It just ain't going to happen.
Yeah, it ain't going to happen.
And another thing I wanted to point out is that this is my train. This is my thought on the revalue. Those dignitaries that are supposed to be in Baghdad for the Arab Summit, they're not coming there if there's no security. And if there's no security, there's no government. So there has to be a government because they need security. And I guarantee you, they ain't going there if there's no security. So, I mean, if they don't revalue before the summit, they're going to have to revalue right after the summit because the government's going to have to be in place.
Yeah, they're definitely in that window.
So that's am I in La La Land? Am I way off, or can you see this?
I think your thought is with the thoughts of most people out there in the community right now. I mean, it makes sense. Everything's pressure pointing up to this point. But as I tell people, we don't know what we don't know. So there's always the unknown out there that can happen, and something can come up, or there's something that needs to be done. But based on what we know, I mean, we're making good, common sense decisions about that, and it sounds in the realm of possibility.
Because I'm figuring these people ain't coming there if there's no security. I guarantee you.
Oh no! I mean, if you look, they've ordered 400 armor cards for these guys. The Saudis cleared security. Last year, Saudis said they didn't want to come because they didn't think they were secure. Every one of the ministers' security departments, or the people that showed up, have cleared them from their security departments. So they're very, very sure that this is going to be a very secure event that's going to happen. So it's all looking good for Iraq. The ball's in their court, and they know it, and they know that this is going to be a huge deal for them. So they need to make the best of the situation that's in front of them, and we'll have to sit back and watch.
Okay, well, that's all I have, and thank you again for the work that everybody does there, and I really appreciate your thoughts on things, and It's a pleasure. Thank you again.
Thank you, Texas.
Thank you.
All right, California 1, you are up.
Hi, California 1. How are you guys?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for the call and the information. A couple quick questions. I'm on your website now, and I like it. Been a Dinar owner for about 4 months with my mother. But anyway, long story short, and I just went into my spam to try to retract it. I mean, to try to bring it back out, to find out where it came from. I'm not sure if it was Dinar Alert. I'm not sure exactly what site it was on, but there was something on there today that was posted that stated that Saudi, Yemen, and I forget the other 3 countries, but they said on this article that they were not coming to the meeting due to Iraq's lack of security, the bombings going over there, and them basically not having their act together still. Have you seen that article on Dinar Alert? Or I don't even know if it was a Dinar Alert because I can't remember the site, and I tried to pull it out of my spam, and it's not there.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those articles.
I believe it was on Dinar Alert, but I don't want to quote something that I don't know 100%.
One of the things you have to be careful about in this community is they will take old articles from a year ago, and they will put a new date on them, and they will come up. Those were the concerns last year. Saudi Arabia settled. Well, I don't know. It's just bad news reporting is what it is. They're just a little lazy in some of these places. But a year ago, that's how the Saudis decided they weren't going to come, and that's why they weren't able to hold that conference. This year, they've already gotten assurances from the Saudis that they were going to come. So sometimes you see a recirculation of these old articles, but I haven't seen anything to the effect that's current that says anything like Saudi and those
yeah, I'm
countries
pretty sure it was either last night or today.
Yeah.
No, I did see it, Mike. I saw it.
Did you see it?
But I think it was an old article, and
yeah.
I didn't really pay attention to it because I knew they'd already said they were coming.
Right. We've got way too many on that. I do think it's an old article.
And then number 2 is that obviously you guys are trying to report factual and not all the hype out there like some of these sites. I don't have to mention because you know who they are, and so I know you don't have a crystal ball, but do you actually feel that this RV will, at some point in time, definitely take place?
Absolutely,
yeah,
I do.
Yeah, absolutely, it has to take place. They have to, whether it's a dime, $1, or $3, they have to put some value.
Let me stop you there, Mike. You said a dime. A dime really doesn't do them any good to be recognized as a
right.
currency,
I use that as not as a hard thing, but they have to do something to it. No matter whatever that final number is in their mind or whatever it comes out, and we can go through it, but they have to raise the value of their currency, period, at some point in time in the future.
Yeah, I read where they've got 3 million barrels of oil a day coming out of there now.
Yeah.
And you could just imagine how much money they're losing having the currency that they have as opposed to even having a one-to-one currency.
Exactly. There you have it. So, when you start putting that things together, no matter how long you wait, you got to realize that there's some value here and that they have to do this at some point in time in the future. Hopefully in the near future.
Then the other question is, and I know you don't have a crystal ball, and I'm not trying to pin you down, so don't take it that way. If you were guessing on a rate, an initial rate, there's been talk on different sites and different news articles about a initial rate, then a mid rate, and then a top rate down the line and all that. What would your
where we stand on rates is this: we feel that they have to de-dollarize, so they have to come out at more than $1. And they've been given the permission to be 20% higher than Kuwait, which is $3.66. That's from the IMF. That's from their white papers that they've given them. So our rate is anywhere over $1 to around the $4 range, $4.20.
Now, initially on the when you're talking about the latter, the higher part, are you talking about initially, or are you talking about down the road on the Kuwait rate and all that?
No, initially he has to come out whatever rate he's deciding he wants to come out at. He's stuck with it because he's on a managed float. So he's stuck with it for 2 years, and he can only go up or down 2% every 90 days or 60 days, whatever that is. So he better be darn sure, whatever rate he decides to come out at, that he wants to sit with that rate for 2 years.
So if he came out at 1.20, just a little bit above the dollar or whatever, you're saying that he would not be able to move that rate for how long?
2 years.
2 years.
Yep.
Okay.
So he's stuck. He could destroy his economy with a very low rate over 2 years.
Do you think 1.20, in your opinion, is too low for what they're trying to accomplish, or what's your thinking there?
I don't know. I'm not Dr. Shabibi, so I mean.
Although I'm sure we'd all be happy if it was 1.20.
Yeah, I mean, I try to stay out of that type of speculation because all it really does is get people thinking about,
right.
whatever it is. And I'm not Dr. Shabibi, and no one really knows what that is. But, you use a little common sense, and you'd have to see that he needs to be in that range that I said. But he has the plan, and whether he decides to come out lower or higher or whatever that is, he knows exactly what he wants to do and where he's going with it. Any point in that range that I've given you makes us all very happy people.
Exactly. And then the last question, you brought up a very interesting point. Somebody asked if you guys were going to be around after it RV'd, and you said you were going to go out and do a test cash-in or whatever. I don't know exactly what you said, small amounts of cash-in or whatever, and then you were going to report back to everybody on how it went and, how to, that thing that you said. Do you believe, in your opinion again, that in the United States, all the major banks, Wells Fargo, Citi, Chase, Bank of America, all our known banks will be involved in this process of cashing in? And then the second part of that question is what do you think? Let's say you're cashing in $25,000 notes in the tune of $1 million. What do you think they're going to charge to do that?
I have no idea what they're going to charge. I believe any bank that has a currency department will participate in this and does international currencies. So any of those banks will do that if they do, and I believe the Big Four do. And it's going to be crazy because it really is going to depend on what you do and how you negotiate it and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be
when you say they're currency departments, is that like walking in and asking for the branch management, or is that a division of, say, Bank of America using an example?
Yeah, that's a division of the. They
like
have a division
wealth
of currency
management?
trading. Yeah,
They
have a division. Or they have a currency department. Every major bank has a currency department that actually trades and does their currencies for them.
Okay.
So from Bank of America.
Thank you very much. I've been on I think 3 or 4 of your calls now. They're very informative. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, Florida, you are up.
Hey guys, this is Ken down in Florida.
Hey, Ken in Florida.
How y'all doing?
Hi, Ken in Florida.
How's everybody tonight?
Great. How are you?
Good. I'm doing phenomenal, but I'm getting better though.
That's good.
Hey, Mike, quick question for you. I was on Mr. Kuntz's, Randy Kuntz's call last night, and he had a 4-hour conference call. He beat you guys. Anyway, he made a very interesting summation of where he thinks we stand. I'd like to run this by you and just see what your comment on it is. He basically is saying that this national, not the summit, not the Arab summit, but the national conference, which I believe is going to be before the summit at the end of the month, and it has to do with seating the government and putting all the government in place, with the herbal and all that. You're familiar with what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what he's saying about this national summit, and I thought it was very interesting. So I'm gonna really appreciate your call on this because I think you're very, very brilliant. Anyway, what he's saying on this national summit is that basically, or the national conference, I'm sorry, is that basically that if they are able to keep, there's some background noise going on. If they are able to keep Meliki in the corner, in check, in actually checkmate or check if you wish or whatever, and in this national conference is allowed to proceed because Maliki, you know how he has been doing underhanded things. Yeah, we'll let you go with it, but it's got to be constitutional. He always finds a way of getting out. Randy seems to think that Mr. Kuntz seems to think that they've got him pretty much in check. It's going to take probably an act of Allah to get him out of that corner, and if they are able to proceed with this national conference, then basically what Mr. Kuntz is saying is that they will have to RV first before the national conference, which is before the Arab Summit also, and because they need the currency to pay for it, number one, and number two, it completes their government. What say you on that? What is your commentary on that?
Sorry, I was talking to myself there for a second.
Okay.
I think the national conference is very important. I hate pegging an RV to any one thing that has to happen or to get done, because there's things that we don't know that we don't know. Sure. It's important to get the government done, and I think Maliki, with the Alawi situation being out of the way, if Alawi was a scapegoat, which I don't think he was, I think he was the primary cause of most of the problems, the next person that messes up in that realm is their career dissipation light's going to go very quickly, because they really need to get things done and to move forward. And I think Maliki's smart enough to play the political game that he's not going to screw up, so I think he is painted into that corner. And I think they will go through the national conference and get their government seated. Now, whether they RV before, during, or after that, that's really up to Dr. Shabibi. Most of us who've been in here a while believe what Dr. Shabibi had said is, show me your fully seated government and I'll give you a new currency that's RV'd.
Correct.
That's where a lot of those opinions go. But the other problem he has is he's bumping up against this national conference. And as things slow down and go, he's going to have to adjust, because you can't have an Arab summit, you can't have an RV happening at the same time. It's going to cause too much confusion for the people there. Although I could be wrong about that, it could do different things. So he either has to do before or after that conference.
Well, basically what he's saying is, just to interject real quick, he's saying that they have to do it in order to pay for it. What about that angle of it? I mean, do they have the money, Mike?
I don't get it. I mean, they have money. They have money from they have American dollars to pay for all this stuff.
Yeah, I said that. I thought the same thing. They got like at least $65 billion, and they're probably not even showing us all their cards either. So you're probably right about that. Yeah.
Right. So I don't could they use that extra value to pay for some of this stuff in the currency? Yeah, it's going to be a huge windfall for them in the budget when this happens. So there's going to be money that's left over, but they are not broke by any imagination.
No.
They have American dollars that they can pay. Would they prefer to pay with their own money? Absolutely, makes them stronger and all that kind of stuff. But this idea that they don't have any money to pay for anything is just wrong. They're selling 300 billion, 300 million barrels of oil a day. They're getting
3 million barrels a day. That's a lot of cash right there in and of itself. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's there.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Although it does make kind of a little sense what he's saying, but then when you look at it, when you put those pieces of the puzzle in there, I kind of agree. But you had an interesting gentleman just a few minutes right before me that was basically talking about this Arab conference and the security, and he kind of made a good point about the security being and that piece of the puzzle, I think, is right. But again, we don't know we don't know what we don't know, and
right.
But I think we're pretty darn close. I really do.
Well, I hope you're right.
Thank you, Florida.
It, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. One thing in comment closing, and I know you hear it all the time, but you guys deserve it. You guys take the up and down out of the roll. I've done myself away with the roller coaster about 2 or 3 months ago, and I only listened to you guys and of course to Mr. Kuntz, and because he does the same thing, he just analyzes things from the news. So I wish the people would get out of the rubber rooms, out of those stop going into those the guru rooms and not supporting those gurus at all by going into those rooms, because they really are hurting a lot of people. And you guys, thank you for saying that and getting people straight, because you do a great job.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mike, I bet you haven't had a chance to read that, huh?
Debbie, you said you'd get me in.
I am, but I have British Columbia ahead of you. British Columbia, you're up.
Hi. Thank you so much, everybody, for all the hard work you're doing for us hosting these calls, and the IQ team, thank you. I want to say that right out of the gate. I appreciate it so much.
You're welcome.
You sound so tired, too.
Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm just trying to read and do 20 things at one time.
Okay, multitasking. Let me ask you this. Does anyone know about which banks in Canada would be involved in cashing in on the RV? That's question number one. And question number two, some simple security measures we should do to protect ourselves. I've been hearing that accounts have been hacked into when you're transferring from one account to the other. So those are my two questions, if you know what the process might be in Canada.
We don't know about Canada because we're down here, but it is my guess that any bank that deals with international currency, once it becomes international currency, again, as it is in the States, as a currency department, will deal with this once it becomes international currency. I assume that would be some of the major banks that are up in your neck of the woods. I know, is TD Bank one of your banks up that way?
Yes.
Yeah, I know they dealt with it down here in the States. And probably will deal with it after, so that's about the only one that I know of that is that way, and we'll have to get more information once it takes place to see what's actually happening out there, and we'll get lots of information and bring that to you. And
thank you.
Secondly, as much as we could put the fear into people, one of the things I am into is computer and computer security. It is extremely difficult to hack an account out of a bank, although it can be done. It's very sophisticated. People have to know a lot of information specifically about you in order to hack your accounts, and they have to know a lot to get into those systems. And banks have some of the most secure systems that are out there, and generally when they get hacked, it's usually by foreign governments or some big hackers that are out there, and they never really get back past the account stage. They just kind of get in and mess up the systems. So it's very, very difficult for accounts to be hacked on a pretty regular basis, or things to be stolen, or things to be misplaced and all that kind of stuff, although it does happen. But it's a rarity more than it is. It's an exception to the rule rather than the rule. So be smart about what you do and how you dealing with your local banks and people that you know. Those types of situations put you in a much better situation than dealing with people that you don't know at banks that you don't know. So part of the process is getting to know your bank, or you have a bank. Some of us have personal banks, but to take it upon yourself to go out there and develop your relationship with your local banks so that you know. If you have a business, you probably have a good relationship with those people. And those will probably be some of the first people that you'll talk to when this happens to go forward. And I can assure you that your local banks will protect you and take care of you because they see you on a regular, everyday basis, and they're not going to want to have that type of publicity in the community of something that's happened or to get out there. So take your precautions, but don't worry extremely too much about those types of things, but keep all of your personal information and everything about you very private and very close to yourself, and you should be good with all that stuff.
Thank you. And on that note, should we be talking to our banks before the RV?
You want to make sure that you have an account that you can talk to the private banking division without letting them know. You know, you can go in and have Deb, do we have some stuff on our website on how to have those conversations?
Yes, we do. It's under Private Bankers tab. So when you go to the site, on the left-hand side, you'll see Private Banker information, and it's got a list of, 8 different banks and their phone numbers and websites and all the questions that you need to ask when you go in to see them.
Thank you.
And if you familiarize yourself with those questions, they will be very impressed with you, and you'll just go right through it very smoothly.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, I lost my list. Oh, gosh, California's up next.
Yeah. Mike.
John, say thank you, Debbie, for getting you in.
Thank you, Debbie, for getting me in. Although I am going to correct you, I was really the first one, and then I got bumped out.
Well, you're such a good guy to let you go last.
But then I'm so polite that I didn't interrupt.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay.
Anyway, we're all under pressure. It's just you know what I'm confused in, and anyone can, Mike, you, Debbie. There's these two windows. There's the window between now and up to the summit, and then there's the window to September, and I know there's as much as we know of what's coming out. There's just as much that we don't know behind the scene. Are both windows applicable, or or what? That's a little bit confusing. And then the other thing, and I say this because I care a lot, and that is, yeah, they need to RV. They need to come out with the lower denominations. Is there any possibility at all, you may not like me saying this, that they could come out and they could RV and they could do a rescission or rescind the dinars that we are holding? Could they do that?
No.
Would they do that?
No, absolutely not. Because they would have to do it in country. Anything they do for us outside the country, they have to do inside the country. And it would send a turmoil. It would send a shock across you cannot get people interested in using your dinar if you come out and you take away from them. So, for example, if you tell the people that you're going to bring me a 25,000 note, I'm going to give you 125 note, the people know that they're getting cheated somehow. Or there has to be a medium of exchange that's equal to what you're turning in, or the people will
so
not
if they cheat us, they cheat the people there too.
Yeah. Period. Okay. And end of story on that one. And with as much as some of these central banks and treasuries hold, from England around that we're told, there would be a shockwave. I just don't see that as a possibility of that happening.
It would undo everything that Shabibi is all about, and who he represents, and who he is, and who his family is, and what he's trying to do for the country.
And it would be so different than anything that was ever done before after a war that it just wouldn't make economic sense to them. So
well, you name it, and I'll think of it.
Yeah. I hear you. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff that goes around, a lot of fear that goes around out there. But you have to understand that there's an economic process that has to be followed. And if they don't follow that economic process, they will crush their own economy and they will crumble amongst themselves. And that's not the purpose of what needs to happen. They are not concerned about what is out in the dinar community. It is such a small amount. And what he has done to make that so negligible to taking back in, it's brilliant what he has done from that standpoint.
He's pulled in trillions from the auctions. The auctions have gotten, the selling of the dollars have gotten less and less and less. He's pulled in everything that he could possibly pull in.
And then he's going to take it over a 10-year period. Whatever's left, he's going to take from the central banks over 10 years. So he's depreciated it over 10 years while his revenues are growing. So it's a genius plan for him. So he's not worried about, what you hold or what I hold.
Okay.
He's more worried about the economy and what's going to happen to them in Iraq, period.
So could you just go into these two windows?
There's one big window from now until September. There's little things along the way that put pressure on them. One of those is the Arab Summit. The other is this Constitutional Congress, the national meeting they're going to have to form their government. Those are two pressure points that are building that would be nice to have all this stuff in place. But what he's really done, and if you look at it again, September is his drop-dead date that really pushes that date forward for Parliament to get everything done that they need to, because they have to start talking about the budget by September. And they're going to need to know what the value of those new dollars or the new dinars are in order to be able to function and make a budget. So he's put the pressure down, and he would rather do it sooner rather than later, because the longer that sits out there, it gives more people the opportunity to come in and scoop up his dinars off the street, take it from the people inside the country, and have people start hoarding this because they know something's going to happen. So, put all those together, and you got a nice big pressure cooker coming through. So
we could get it. We could get it sooner.
We could, but you really should look at it from now until September as your window. And if anything happens sooner, we're in good shape. Just keep on watching the news, see what's going on as the pressure builds. It's there. He's going to run into, like I said, a problem. You can't RV and have an Arab Summit at the same time. With people wondering in the streets where they're going to change their their dinars and all that kind of stuff. You want to have that done probably a good, 5 or 6 days before that happens, so people have the means and know what's going on, and it's not chaotic for that to happen. You don't want a chaotic situation when all these people are coming to town. So, he needs to keep all that in mind, and again, there's what we don't know that he needs to do too. So, Those are the factors that we don't know. So we keep these windows open, but we don't know. We don't know.
Okay, John?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, John. I think that was it, unless I was missing a California by any way. Was I missing a California anywhere? I had so many Californias.
Hello, California.
Were you in the first group, sir?
I was in the first group. I hit your star 6
Go
twice.
ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm sorry.
You can go ahead.
No, you already got me.
Oh, okay, good.
I was the one that asked Mike a bunch of questions about the security and the bank.
Okay, cool.
Go for it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all the work you guys do. I know it takes a lot of time.
Oh, we love it.
You'll love it soon, right?
Well, we do it for you guys. You know, we went through all this, and we all came together.
Okay, I know. You're just doing it for us guys, right?
We are.
I'm kidding.
Are.
I'm kidding.
You know, Diana and I started this journey a year ago, didn't we, Diana? It's almost a year. My goodness.
I don't know if I'd have made it a year.
It's a little over a year for me, yeah.
No, but we've been doing the calls for over a year, posting or doing calls for a year.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
And we did it because we wanted to give back what we got from other people in balance, and that's why we did it.
Mm-hmm.
And we got it, didn't we, Diana? Who's
sure.
up?
Yeah, and the only reason we're here is because we're all on drugs.
Yukon.
Yukon is our imbalance. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Love you.
we put him in the rubber room a lot, huh?
That's right.
Mike, did you have it just before we give it back to you guys? Did you want me to do anything with that article or wait?
Let's wait because I've been reading and answering questions and I don't.
I know
have it in
I
my
can't
mind,
even read it.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Let me understand it a little better and then I'll get back with you on it.
Okay, because I'll be glad to. Okay, it's one of you guys. You're up.
Okay.
Arkansas,
Texas,
Illinois.
Hang on.
Wait a minute. Tim, you want to take over?
Arkansas.
It doesn't matter,
Arizona.
Debbie.
Illinois.
Aaron, second.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Tim, I got it. I got it.
Change and shift.
Okay. You got it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Houston.
Arizona.
No. Stop.
Arizona.
Stop.
Connecticut.
Stop.
Arizona.
All right, guys, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Diana,
Yes.
I'm going to give you the list as I heard everybody, and nobody else say anything else. We've already got them all. Diana,
I got it on
there
Lex.
you go. Arkansas, Houston, Illinois, Arizona, and Connecticut.
Okay, I also got Oregon. Okay.
You can add that in.
Okay, are you ready, Diane? I had it on lecture.
Sure.
Okay. Folks,
Okay.
you have to star 6 yourself.
Okay, Arkansas, you're first.
Muted.
Uh-oh. I got it. Arkansas, you're going to have to
Unmuted.
star 6 your phone, Arkansas. All right, we're going to go with Houston, Texas, and then I'll try Arkansas again in a bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Houston, hold on a second. Arkansas, go ahead.
Okay. I was wondering if you can explain to me how the Iraqi oil ties in to America, to what Bush and them set up. How does the oil, is it tied to the dinar or is it tied to something else? The oil, the Iraqi oil.
Tim, you want to grab that?
Well, I can. Right now, all the oil is bought and sold in U.S. dollars. The dinar that we take in, once we take it in and start trading it back to Iraq, we're supposed to get a $33 rate per barrel. So we'll be using dinar to buy the oil.
Will that help to lower the price of the oil when that takes place?
Well, that depends on what the government does with the money. I would like to see it lower the cost of oil. It should. But if the U.S. government sells it on the open market or sells it in the market, it's going to sell along with the rest of the $108 oil. And the government's just going to make that much more money.
Well, my other question is, I heard you read those articles on the Iraq. I'm glad you guys can understand what they're saying, because I don't.
Ma'am, let me ask you something. Are you on our mail list?
I went on tonight to try to get your site up to get on there, and I was having some problems getting to the right site. I think you said the IQD.
Yes, IQDteam.com. Yes, ma'am.
The IQDteam.com.
Yes, TEAM. The IQDteam.com.
That's what I went in, but it was not taking me to where I wanted to go.
Okay, Arkansas, you know what? You could do me a favor and drop an email to Diana at theiqdteam.com and just say, help get on the mail list, and include your first name or nickname, and I'll take care of that for you, okay?
And now Diana is Diana?
Yes, ma'am. And then tomorrow you will, if you do that tonight, tomorrow you will receive a summary and highlights of tonight's call, and maybe reading it, you might understand it a bit better.
Okay. Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes, that does help me.
Okay. Okay, well then I thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You'll have a great night.
You too. Houston,
Bye-bye.
You are up. Bye-bye now, honey.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I would like to ask a question about the tag accounts. Have you guys heard anything about that? And what is your perspective on that? I read today in one of the blog sites that you needed to have a tag account in order to ensure that you were going to get the value of your money, because the Iraqi dinar was going to be backed in oil or gold. And the currency that we're converting it to is a fiat currency. So they were saying that the U.S. dollar was going to be losing 40% within 90 days after the RV. So it would be imperative for us to have a tag account and to ensure our value for the money.
Can I weigh in here?
Go ahead, Dad.
Well, I'm just going to say one thing, is that we have some information on the tag accounts on our website under pre and post RV, and then that's the tab. Then on the right-hand side, when you click on that tab, you're going to see tag account. In addition, I have a friend that helps me out a lot. He's kind of knowledgeable and writes a lot of stuff about different things. And today he wrote an article about that very topic in one of his articles. It's an opinion article, but he seems to, common sense. We always talk about common sense. So go to the very first article that's posted on the pre and post RV and read that about all the rumors going on in the community about tag accounts and so forth. It might help you.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, great. I don't put credence in the other. Are you there?
Yeah.
Hello. Well, yes. I was about to say I don't give credence to any other blog site other than for me to maybe find a question to ask you guys. But other than that, I don't use the blog sites for anything. I don't put credence in any of their information, because, like you said, they're wrong every day. But you guys don't call it, and you're going to only be wrong once. So I'd rather play those odds, play the odds with somebody else.
Yes, and let me just add one more thing about some of this nonsense about the dollar losing 40% and new gold-backed Treasury notes. What everybody forgets to mention is the reason that we're not on the gold standard anymore is because we have $15 trillion worth of debt, and there's not enough gold to back those dollars with. And in order to go on any standard, you have to have enough money to back the debt that you have in your country. So there's not enough gold around, or we don't own enough gold in America to back a $15 trillion debt. So if anything were to happen with our currency, and it would devalue and anybody would try to put it on the gold standard, it wouldn't be able to go. The rest of the world won't let us go on a gold standard because there's not enough gold to back our debt. And China, who owns most of our debt, and Japan would have a fit. So they're not interested in holding any paper that loses 40% in value, or any debt that loses 40% in value, because it doesn't make any economic sense. These are just some wild theories that people are bantering around, sort of like conspiracy theories out there, that don't have a lot of basis. It comes off of one executive order that allows the Treasury to print gold notes that has never been taken off the books, and it runs wild across the internet in a lot of forms, and that's where it's based in. But we can't change our currency, and it would devastate us if we lost 40% of the value in our currency at any given time. So be careful when you hear a lot of those things that go on out there in regards to that. So
and
hopefully
like
between those two things, it'll give you a better understanding.
And like you said, Mike, it'd devastate China and Japan too. They're not going to take a whipping on the notes
it would
they're
be a
holding
world
on us.
disaster if that happened.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask, because it sounded crazy to me that the United States will lose 40% of their value, and our next door neighbor, Canada, has a value close to the United States value. That's why that's the number one reason why I believe Iraq is going to RV, because their next door neighbor is Kuwait, and they have a currency of $3.60-some. So back when I first found out about the Iraqi dinar, which was in 2003, that's why I chose to get involved, because I knew their neighbor was at $3 and something. It don't make sense that you get just as much minerals or oil as your neighbor, but your value is a tenth of a penny, but your neighbor is $3.60-some. So that's the same thing. That's the same rationale I use with the 40% value being lost in the United States dollar.
There you go. Amen. Common sense.
And bear in mind, the IMF says if you have provable minerals in the ground, you can count those as an asset. And they found one of the world's largest oil reserves in the United States.
I didn't know that. Okay, well, thank you a lot. That was my only question. If I come up with any more, I'll catch it on another round.
Thank you, Houston.
Thank
Illinois.
you.
Illinois, you're up.
Yes, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, I'm a little confused on this subject.
California, too.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Illinois. I'm sorry about the interruption.
That's okay. I'm a little confused on the subject of the lower denoms. I was of the impression that the lower denoms were already distributed out in the banks in Iraq. Are those the denoms that don't have the Kurdish language on them, and then the lower denoms that are coming out in September are going to replace these that are already there, and the ones in September are going to have the Kurdish language? I'm a little confused on the lower denom situation. Can you explain what's taking place there?
Sounds like you got it exactly right. There are some lower denoms that are out there already, 50s, $1,000 denoms. They want to get rid of the 000 notes, and they want to bring out 25s. They want to bring out some 10s, some 5s, and some 1s, $1 dinar coins.
Now, are those already in the banks being ready to be distributed at this time?
We've read articles that lead us to believe that is. We don't know that as a fact, but we feel that they would have to have that set up prior to any RV happening, because it's such a large account to get those out and on there. So we're assuming that they do, based on some of the articles that we read. And the new dinar, the new ones will have the Kurdish writing on them, and they will coexist with the other ones that are out there for a period of 2 years. So they'll trade together for a period of 2 years.
Hey, now that kind of makes sense. And the ones with the Kurdish language, those are the ones that they're talking about being available by September of this year?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Very good. I think I got a better handle on it. I appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Illinois. Arizona, you are next.
Muted. Hi, this is Arizona.
Hi, Arizona.
Unmuted. Hi, this is the first time I'm doing this, so can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I've been involved for a year and a half, and just started listening to your calls a couple months ago because of the roller coaster, and I was just emotionally thinking I was going to lose it because just could not figure out what on earth they didn't make sense at all, and they're saying opposite things. So a couple calls ago, a comment was made a year and a half ago when it first came out. They said we needed one of those guru guides. You know, we had to have an LLC in order to put the funds into it. And then, over this year and a half, you started to not hear about it anymore. I went and set up this LLC, but I don't have a business, so it was just simply an account that I opened with money to receive the money, the exchanged revalued dinar. And then I heard on this call that I was going to be in big trouble because you can't have an LLC that's not really a business. So if you put money in that, you'd be in all kinds of tax trouble.
You should certainly talk to a tax professional, somebody that does your income taxes, and have them explain what an LLC is for and what it can be used for, and ask them those types of questions so that you get an understanding of what it is. You can no longer have an LLC that just takes in money and doesn't do a business.
Okay, well, that's what I have. So I might as well just close that account and just use my non-interest-bearing checking account.
Yes, what you want to do is wait, because everybody has a lot of ideas, and the laws have changed very dramatically over the past few years. So one of the best things to do is kind of have an idea of where you're going to go. You've got an account that you know you're going to place it into. Sit and wait, and when it happens, come to the call. And then we'll have a lot more information, because we'll be able to sit down with tax professionals and people and say, this is an event that's actually happened. How does this work? What are the things that we can do? And we can give you some better information. But you're always best talking to someone who knows your situation, a tax person who can give you advice based on who you are and what your situation is, because everybody's a little different. No one has the same sort of situations going on.
Right, it just seems so strange that it disappeared from all of the intel, because I follow it really closely, and about 6 months ago you didn't hear any more about doing that as one of the steps. And then when I heard the comment the other night that it was a problem, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go back to the personal banker and close that account, because it's not going to obviously be where, because I don't have a business. I'm a senior and, have no intentions of having a business. So
be careful of the advice that's given out there. You need to double check on everything. Don't take it all as something that needs to get done just because somebody has said something. There's a lot of that stuff that goes on out there. A lot of people have a lot of ideas. Some of those ideas are a bit older than others, and they don't work. And some of them are downright in the gray areas and could get you in trouble. So
and that's the last thing I want to do.
No, we all don't want to do that, because you don't want to lose the value of what you get. You want to be a good steward of it and be able to use it to bless others and to bless yourself. Exactly.
Oh, I cannot thank you enough. I can't believe I've been operating under the wrong principle for a year.
That's okay. We're here to clear that up for you and hopefully give you some sound advice.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Was that the Shabibi train?
Yeah.
Debbie, when you read that article earlier on the IMF, I could have sworn I had to take a double take. I thought you said IMF Express. and I say, there I go. I have to come up with another graphic. We got the Shabibi train, the IMF Express. Oh, it's too funny.
I thought that too when I heard it.
Did you?
Yeah.
So it wasn't me. It wasn't just me. I started laughing, saying, okay, that's another one I got to come up with. Okay, Connecticut, you are up.
Hello.
Hi.
This is Connecticut.
Hi.
Okay, give me a date and a rate.
just get it off your chest, will you?
That's it, right to the point. Give me a rate and a date. I'm just I've been hearing two different things. One, it's around the corner, and then September, and I don't know if you're saying that we're going to have to wait for September. I understand that they have to have a value in September to start into the, for the following year. I understand that they have to have that rate at that time. But surely this thing's going to happen a whole lot before then. Am I wrong?
Well, we don't know. I mean, that's just it. We don't know. We're looking at everything that we have. We're looking and trying to make some good common sense type connections that let us know that direction. But there's also things that we don't know that are going on that we don't have the information for. So, anytime from now until September is always what you want to keep in mind, that it's not a guarantee. There's nothing that can guarantee it. Nobody knows when, because there's a lot of things that can happen, a lot of things that need to happen underneath the scenes for this all to go. We think it's just easy that he walks over to his computer, plugs in the rate, and that it's all done. But he's got so many balls that he juggles because the economy is such a fragile thing that he's built to keep that rate and everything going in his reserves and all that other kind of stuff. So he needs a lot of things to line up for him. But he certainly has put the pressure on. So, and I think what happens is we all want to time it. We want to be able to know where it's at, and it's all a timing issue. And we're never going to be able to time it down to a point. We can only have windows of opportunity that can come up, and that's about it. And that's only because of what they tell us. And he's given too much information, because this usually happens with very little information or no information, and it's done usually very secretively. So we're thankful that we've gotten the information that we have, but we're never going to be able to time it to the point where we're going to get the exact day. There's no one out there that can do that, and that's the frustrating part of this. So you almost have to sit back and kind of accept that and know that, and eventually you stop looking for a rate and a date, and you get comfortable with it's going to happen sometimes, in the near future, and that you're okay with that, whatever that time and date is.
I feel pretty peaceful about the rate. Because what makes logical sense. So I'm not even concerned with that, even though I said rate and date. I just was wondering, because it seems so close, and then now it seems so far from the end of the month to September. But it doesn't make sense that it would go past September, does it?
It doesn't, but then again, we always look at it. There's always hard dates. There's things that can happen. I would say no, that it doesn't make sense to do that, but it can. You have to put that into your reason. These are not set in it. What we're involved in is a currency exchange that's a highly speculative type of event that happens. And when I say highly speculative, it means that there's lots of things that can affect it positively and negatively. You're never going to know what it is, because it has such a high rate of return. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in and out of this whole thing that happens. So, and that's what you get the roller coaster from, because everybody looks at all the good things and they go, oh, it's going to happen, and then they look at all the bad things and no, it's not going to happen now. Well, you really truly can't do that. There's going to be many ups and downs in this whole bubble that goes. But the only person that really knows what he's doing is Dr. Shabibi. He's going to do it when he feels comfortable doing it, and we can only guess. So that's the nature of currency RVs. No matter what country it is, it's all kind of this way, because it's done very secretively. And we only know about this because of people who brought it back, maybe a church member, somebody who got you involved in it. So, but because of the nature of it, that's kind of what we have to deal with. There's nothing that's going to be set in stone about it. It's always going to be a window or a point in time until it actually happens, and then we can go back to piece it together and maybe see what happened. But hindsight's always 20/20.
Well, I always thought it was a good investment, and I don't live my life for the RV. Sort of, I do. Truthfully,
well,
I'm like,
all kind of do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We all like to have it happen tomorrow.
Yeah, but I maybe fantasize 5 minutes out of the day what it might be like, when I'm meditating. But I live my life as though it's all on me, and I live my life by working and going forward and doing everything that I have to do that I normally do. So it's not like I'm putting my whole life on hold, but sure looking forward to it. And I'm going to start praying for, who is it, Shabibi? I'm going to start praying for Shabibi, that he gets a dream from God or something. I don't know. And say, now's the time.
He's quite haggard the last times we've seen him, so he could use a few prayers going in his direction. So
I do believe that he's doing a lot of work, and I do believe he's doing all he can do.
Yeah.
He's got a tremendous responsibility on his shoulders, and I believe he's doing that. So it's not like I'm not paranoid, like, there's a conspiracy and he's not doing this and not doing that. I think he's doing all he can.
Truly, the key is them getting their government together and it functioning as one government. When we start to see those things happening, I'll have a lot more confidence knowing that they're going together as one, and they're not splintered, and they look like a government, because that's the most important thing for this thing to function and work well. So that's why we kind of pay attention to that. And I think the gurus all kind of miss it, but that's the missing piece, is the government needs to be functioning and looking like a good government, and not bickering, and everybody's in place and going in one direction and moving forward. When you get that RV will be shortly either before it or right after that. So I truly believe that that's what Dr. Shabibi's looking for.
Then they all need to take a power nap before they go to that national conference. If he's looking haggard,
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Brought a little bit to you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay, God bless.
Thank you, Connecticut. Okay, Oregon, you're up. And Tim, after Oregon, Tim, you want to take the list?
Sure, I'll be happy to.
Okay, Oregon, star 6, you're up. Oregon. Did I say it wrong? Oregon. 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 All right, Tim, you can take it over, hon.
Chicago.
Okay, let's see. Chicago.
You're really low, Tim.
Texas.
California.
California.
Illinois.
Chicago.
Chicago.
Texas.
State. Washington.
Illinois.
Chicago, Texas.
Texas.
California.
Colorado.
Illinois, Colorado. Take one
Washington
more.
State.
Washington. Okay, we'll stop there.
Riverside, California.
I'm going to stop with Georgia. I got Chicago, Texas, California, Illinois, Colorado, Washington, and Georgia. Chicago, you're up.
How you guys doing? First time caller to the IQD team.
Well, good. Welcome.
Thank you. I've listened to you guys before. I just want to know, how's this guy named Tariq doing? You guys?
Diana, have you spoken to Tariq lately?
I'm sorry. It was hard. There was a lot of background noise. Could you repeat the question?
Oh, yes.
Have you spoken to Tariq?
A long time ago, you had this gentleman that was a translator named Tariq on. I
Yes,
just want to know his status.
Oh, well, right now there has been no change. He still is without a visa. Okay, he was trying to see if there was a safe way, possibly, that he might get to Jordan and be able to wait for his visa there, but so far that has not been accomplished. And about 3 weeks ago, he just got over a real bad case of the chicken pox. So he's hanging in there. I do talk to him on Skype as often as possible, and I do speak to him through Facebook. And, if there was something... actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask him to come on and just say hi to everybody soon. There's an 8-hour difference, and usually when we start the call, he's
7
asleep.
now. Yeah, we got 7 hours now since we changed time.
Okay. There's a big time difference usually when we start the call. He is sleeping. But he's been a night owl these days. I think I could get him on just to at least come on and say hi to everybody.
Yeah, because I had my whole church pray for him. I had a lot of people pray for him. So, I just wanted to
We're all still praying. We're all still praying because he still has not left his house. He will not come out of his home.
And he's a Christian too, isn't he, Diana?
Yes, he is.
So I'm sure he could use the prayers, and I'm sure they'll be answered.
Great. I have a question.
Thank you for thinking of him and asking for him.
Oh, you're welcome. I have another question. If Malachi stalls this whole government issue, can the Kurds have the power to open up the budget? I mean, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right about open up the budget, but can they have the power to rule what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, can they? Because they're like they control all the money, right? The oil, right? Oil revenues.
Right now, they just control the oil that's coming out of their ground, but they have the budget is done. This 2012 budget is done in the books, signed off by everybody who needs to, and the monies are already starting to move out into the committees that they need to move out to, and move out to the people that they need to. There's a couple of things that they're trying to divvy up, some of the social programs, but this 2012 budget, for all consequential purposes, is in the books. The only thing the Kurds are really fighting over right now is who's going to sign the oil contracts. It's called the HCL law, and how much everybody's going to get. And in the beginning, when this was set up, Baghdad was going to be the central party that signed for the oil, but the Kurds have realized that they've got an awful lot of oil and that they could kind of be autonomous if they wanted to, so they've been kind of, filling their oats, and they've actually gone out and they've signed like 40 contracts for oil. So it's kind of put the oil industry in crisis because there's no governing power over the oil, and the oil belongs to the people of Iraq, not just to the regions of Iraq, and that's why Baghdad wants to do it. So they need to come to some agreement on how that's going to be divvied up, and that's kind of where the Kurds are making their stand. And it's all over percentages and who gets to sign and how much everybody gets. How much does Baghdad get to keep Baghdad running, and how much do the Kurds get to keep for what they're doing, and can they go out and sign contracts when Baghdad and negotiate with oil companies. Baghdad's supposed to do all the negotiating and all that kind of stuff, so they're trying to figure out who can do the negotiating and who can do the signing. And that's all that's kind of left on that front for the oil, and that needs to be resolved because it's hurting their economy until they kind of get that figured out. It's putting oil contracts on hold, and it can put the ones that they have in jeopardy, so they're working hard on trying to get that solved.
Besides the RV that we all want, what are you as a team looking for this week to happen that will get you even more excited as one step closer to the RV process and before the summit? Like what are things that are supposed to happen in the next week or the next 2 weeks before the summit, where you're like, okay, like we're that much closer?
Yeah, really, we want to see the national conference take place, which they're having meetings on right now, and get that done. And we need to see the government come out of the national conference and announce a government of Iraq that's together, that's 3 different regions, that all the presidents are there, that all the security ministers are seated, and that they have a fully functional government that can figure out what they want to do, and that they know who's going to sign these HCL laws, and they're following their constitution that was set up, and that there's no infighting, and that they look like one government. When that happens, I'll be jumping for joy at that point in time, because that just really puts them, 10 steps closer to this all happening. And hopefully this national conference is to take place very soon, is going to air out all these political differences and come through and kind of put the next generation in place of who's going to rule Iraq and who's going to take them into the future. And that's what we need to see happen, really, before I think we can see a solid, should be seeing a solid government and wanting to RV as currency at that point in time.
Okay. Hey, Tim, I hope your legs get better. Hope you're able to have no pain anymore.
I appreciate that, Chicago. Getting better by the day, buddy.
Amen. And I appreciate all your time. Mike, thanks for the explanation.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys, too. Thank you.
Thanks, Chicago.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good night.
You too. Texas, you're up.
Yeah, this is Dave in Texas.
Hey, Dave.
Hello. How you doing tonight?
Texas 1, 2, 3.
Sounds like we got 2 Texases. Ma'am, I'll add you to the end. You'll be Texas 2. Okay, would the gentleman go ahead?
Okay, yeah, this is Dave in Texas. Real good call tonight, thank you. It seems to me maybe it was Thursday or Tuesday night's call, there was an article on the tariffs that were supposed to go into place June 30th or somewhere around there, and that was going to do something horrible inflation-wise to the economy if they didn't RV. So isn't that another kind of a wrinkle that they have to deal with there?
Well, I think they have exempted the citizens.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Isn't that correct, Mike?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Tim? I was busy talking to myself.
The taxes and tariffs, they exempted the citizens.
Yeah, at this point in time, they've exempted the citizens. They're more interested in taxing the goods that are coming into the country and going out of the country, and double checking to make sure they're getting high quality goods. So that's what would cause the inflation that we're talking about, because it would add value to those goods, and you've got no value to your dinar now. If you start adding taxes and tariffs, it's going to drive the price up, and that's inflationary to them. So they've voted on the tariffs, and they have passed, but they have not implemented them. They pulled them off until July. So again, it's another thing that kind of messes with that timeline that needs to get done before they can get those properly instituted.
Okay, yeah, that was kind of my point, is that was another thing on the timeline that they had to be aware of, because I thought you had said that would those tariffs would affect cost of goods and drive up their inflation.
It will.
Yep. Yeah. So okay. Well, that's another fun little wrinkle to keep our eye on, I guess. Huh?
I really don't see how they can implement them without the RV.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tim.
Okay, well, that's all I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Texas. California, you're up.
California.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everybody. I was talking with my daughter a while ago, and she was mentioning about wanting to know what I thought about when or how much it would be, and I told her I thought between 3 and 4, and she said that it couldn't, because if it did, it would devour our money so bad that it would just really hurt us bad. And she said she really thought it had to come in about $1. And so my question is, what do you think? Do you think that if it came in that high, that it would really hurt us that bad?
If it came in that low, it would really hurt Iraq.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, will it hurt us if it came in between 3 and 4?
Iraq doesn't care about us.
Yeah.
There you
and
go.
I don't understand how it would hurt us. I don't understand how it would hurt us, because
I don't either.
Well, she was saying that she thought that it would devour our money. It would lower our money and really hurt us bad by that way. And so I didn't. I mean, like I said, it might be a stupid question, but I never thought about that, because we are hurting with our money and everything.
Yeah, the last time this happened was with Kuwait, and that was the last time our Congress actually ran a surplus. Do you remember when we had a surplus in Congress? Well, that was primarily because of the Kuwaiti revalue. They ended up with extra money from the Federal Reserve that was able to be put towards the budgetary concerns and the deficits. So it increases the value of our dollar because of what it will create economically in our country. So it's not a deflationary thing for us. It would inflate. Our currency would get a little bit stronger with the revalue of that, because of what it
would make us a little stronger.
Yeah.
You'll be able to buy more goods.
You'll be able to buy more goods with the money, because it'll create value in our dollar, because of all the money that's being created. You going to the bank, you putting in the money in the bank.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was looking at, and she was saying, "Oh no, it doesn't." She didn't think it worked like that, and I thought, "Oh, okay, well, I'm going to call and I'm going to ask," because
if she wants to learn about it, there's something called fractional banking.
Modern money mechanics.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one.
On what?
Modern money mechanics. It talks about what Mike was saying, fractional banking.
It's on our website.
Yeah, it's on our website.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you guys. You're just really hanging in there, and I really feel that train's going to come in around the 25th.
I hope you're right.
I think I feel the tracks vibrating now.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, California.
Bye-bye.
Illinois, you're up.
Hello.
Illinois. Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay, hi, everybody. Well, I'd like to say thanks first, because this is a lot of articles. I read just as many every day. I'm kind of obsessed with this, I'm sorry to say, but and I'm kind of waiting and hoping for this RV as soon as possible. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has bills and dreams and people to help and all this. You know, it gets to be a little frustrating. I do have a quick question. I read somewhere on a post, I think it was the Dinar Daddy that I read, and somebody was talking about Soleil. I don't know if you guys talked about it today, where you mentioned something about 2013 being pushing the September date some up to 2013. Is that what I read about that? I don't know if you covered that article or read it, Mike. Do you know anything about that part of it?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What was the article again?
Well, it mentioned, somebody was saying that they were pushing this date up to 2013 instead of, I think, September. Maybe they were talking about the new budget. I'm not sure, but it made it sound like...
the article about 2013 was the budget, that they're going to use the currency for that.
Okay,
they wanted to use the revalued currency in the 2013 budget.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Does the Parliament and the government, do they confer with the Bank of Iraq? You know, I mean, do they know these things, or Shabib doesn't say anything to anybody? Because it just seems like they're treading water, they're putting this off. It seems like everything is there, except for maybe the Secretary, the Minister of Defense or whatever it is. I think that's the last piece you think that's the main piece we're going to be missing. But if I was an Iraqi citizen, I don't know how these guys could be so fat, happy, and dumb with their, high-paying jobs. I hear they're one of the highest-paid governments in the world, and their people are sitting there struggling. I don't know how I could sleep at night when you would be bickering and you can't get this together. And then you're going to put this off and put this off. And the newspapers are teasing the people, if I read it right. The newspapers are, kind of telling them, hey, something's going to happen here. And it's like if I was, sitting here waiting for like, hey, we just got to hold on, family, come on, we just got to hold on. Any day something's going to happen. I'd be going crazy, and I would start to revolt. So I'm feeling the pressure here, which I shouldn't. I'm blessed. We're in the United States of America. We have so much more than a lot of people do. And so, like most of the Denarians out there, I think when we get this newfound wealth, we're going to pass it on. We're going to try to help those less fortunate. I think there's a group of us, or the majority of us, we came into this for that specific reason, which I believe in, a supreme being might be having a hand in that. But my point is, I'm getting so frustrated because I don't believe Shabibi or the government. I mean, maybe Shabibi's got a kind heart, but the government seems that they're not even like listening to the people or really looking at the people. And I feel that frustration. I'm sure other people do too. So what's your comment on that, Mike? And I thank you very much for all you guys do. I listen to you all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much, the people are getting frustrated. They're taking polls and they see that type of stuff. It's just more pressure on the government to do the things that they need to do. I mean, as frustrated as we are with our government, I think our Congress has an approval rating of 2% or 12% or whatever that rating is, that they're not doing the things that they do. The people over there feel the same way, but it's probably more magnified over there because we do have a lot here, and they have very little over there. And that's one of the things they have to be concerned about. I mean, it's a big pot. There's a lot of things that go up and down. It's not as easy as we make it believe out here that he just has to run over to the computer and plug in a number. There's so many factors, so many other things that he has to do to make sure that they're all there, because if he makes one wrong move, one day they're up and running and the next day their economies crash. So he has to be very, very, very careful and very deliberate. And governments are governments. I don't know what to speak about that. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do until the people, who will put them there either unelect them in these next elections and put new people in there to do what they need to do. But I think they're going to get the word pretty heavy and hard here shortly. So, don't be frustrated. It's just part of the process. There's a lot of articles out there every day, and you can go crazy reading them all. But, at some point in time, this will do what it does. And hopefully we can all have the patience to wait it out and be there when it happens.
Well, I appreciate it. I just need to know where do I get my number? Where's the number, the machine where I get my tag for the rubber room, because this is driving me nuts.
We'll put you in there with UConn, not a problem.
Yeah.
UConn passes those out.
Yeah, he sounds like a fun guy though. He's like really great. Thanks, guys.
We appreciate it. Take care. Don't be too crazy.
Thank you, Illinois. Colorado.
Well, good evening, everybody. This is John V. in Colorado Springs.
How you doing, John?
Yes, good evening. What is the role of China and the RV situation in Iraq?
Well, I personally, I don't think China plays any role in the RV situation in Iraq. China's an independent. They are investing in Iraq. There are some people believe that there is some sort of world shift of monetary value. I think they're thinking that some of the wealth is going from good to bad. China really can't speak to any of it. They should have revalued their currency almost a year and a half ago, and they've been artificially depressing their currency, so they have no business telling anybody else what to do with their currency or how to do with their currency, what they're doing with their currency. We even went as far as passing a non-binding resolution in our Senate telling them that they needed to go ahead and RV their currency because it's hurting us because they hold our debt, and it would decrease some of the debt that it would be an advantage to us, and they've held off from doing that. So I doubt that they're playing any role in anybody else's revaluation, as they can't get their own currency sorted out to anything that could be beneficial to the rest of the world.
Okay.
Mike, if I'm not mistaken, I read an article today that said that they had agreed to revalue their currency.
Oh, they have?
I'll have to find it for you and see if I can't shoot it to you.
Yeah, if you can get that off to me, that would be good, because they've been stubborn on that for a while.
Yeah. The other thing is that there are several of us here that when we come to the point of cashing in, we will go to the banks and as a group, because every $1 million that the banks get, they can loan out $10 million. And so we're not going to allow them to play games with us so that we can be able to protect our assets. The other thing is that, I'll just say this, that there's an organization called LifeLock, it's lifelock.com, that will help people to protect their assets that they would have in their banking situation, and the hackers won't be able to steal that information and be able to use it.
You know, it's funny you said that. I got a letter from them the other day.
Okay, it's a big organization, and it's only like $9 a month to be able to have the service, and I'll be getting it I'm going to sign up for it tomorrow. But I want to thank you guys for what you do. You've been quite explicit and clear, and I know you do a great job. And the reason why I like it so much is that there are so many people involved in the Dinar family, and many of the people don't know anything about finances or what they can do, and you guys give great information. And I want to thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Thank you, John. I hope you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Washington State.
My name is Steve from Washington State.
Hey, Steve.
And I want to thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah. My question to you guys is, I've heard there's 160 to 196 countries that when Iraq RV, the rest are going to RV as well, like the Vietnam Dom. Could you guys talk about that?
Tim, you want to take that one?
Well, Mike, I've heard the same thing, but I can't prove any of it.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, it's all pure speculation. I mean, they're very, very, RVs are not something that you go out and tell everybody that it's going to happen. So there's possible that once one happens that you get some people that will decide to do it. Like you said, you just read an article that China is looking to do something. So there may be some other countries that decide to do it. And I don't know much on the Dong. I know that they've had problems stabilizing their currency over the past 6 to 8 months, but I haven't seen anything on it since about 6 months. so I'm not quite sure what they're doing over there. But they are one of the ones that everybody kind of puts in that basket together with everything that's going. But it's just pure conjecture at this time that that's what's actually going to happen.
And I think they did find a large natural gas supply over there.
Did they? Yeah, I haven't followed it. You're probably a little bit more on that than I have.
And they were asked.
They got natural resources. It's going to help them to stabilize their economy.
Well, they've got rubber, they've got coffee, they found natural gas, and they've been asked to ramp up their rice production as hard as they can ramp it up.
Yeah, that's going to be important for the food supply.
So that possibly will help them, but their currency is so weak right now, it's pathetic. Yeah. But there again, they're tied to China, so
yeah.
If China goes up,
that's going to help. So you never know. So could be a lot that could go on. So, but I don't know enough about it. That's about all we know.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you guys again, and I appreciate taking my call.
Thank you, Washington. Georgia, you're up.
Yeah. Hi, Tim. Hi, everybody.
Hey, how are you?
Good. My understanding was that the national conference was supposed to begin today, and my brother just texted me and said that he saw an article that said that it had begun today. And I thought I had seen another article previous to this saying that they were agreed on everything, that they were all sort of unified in their thinking. And so I'm just wondering, do you guys know anything about that?
Well,
funny
Deb,
you
are you
say
there?
That.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to track down right now on the articles that Deb's been throwing back and forth to me. It looks like that it may have, but we're not quite sure. We're trying to sift through those articles now, but you may be not far off. We're hoping that it is.
Okay.
Well, they held its fifth meeting today.
Yeah.
You saw that one?
Yeah, I saw that one, and this is the second time that I've heard or seen something that it was supposed to start today too. So
yeah.
We're looking for confirmation on that.
Okay, good. And Wednesday, now Ban Ki-moon is coming to Kuwait. Maliki is going to Kuwait, and I guess he's going to be taking money there. Is that true, or?
Well, they're trying to negotiate what's left on those, what they owe and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty much, I think they've pretty much decided what they're going to give and take, and I think it's mostly a formality that they're going there for like a signing ceremony and to kind of put the finishing touches on it. Usually you don't send the leader of your country unless you have something kind of worked out. You don't want to be embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in front of the UN.
Yeah, that would be bad news.
Do you think they'll be released from Chapter 7 this Wednesday?
I don't know if we'll hear about it, but I think they're going to be released very soon. I don't know if it'll be a formal announcement. I think they're probably going to hold off and announce that at the Arab Summit.
Is Moon coming to the?
He's coming
Arab
to the summit too. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So you
I think
could
they're going to have a lot.
Correct.
Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
That's all right. I was telling Mike he could be very correct. We may not hear anything until the Arab Summit.
Yeah, it would just look good for Iraq for them to come out and say, okay, people can deal with them now. They're out of bankruptcy. Chapter 7.
Well, I think they're going to have one heck of a party at the summit.
Oh,
I think so too. It's very important for that country. It's to showcase themselves right now.
And what would be really cool is if they had their act together when they go.
Amen.
Don't you think? Wouldn't that be a great idea? Form their government, seat their ministers, open their budget, and RV their currency. What's so difficult about that?
Well,
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you one thing. If they get their act together, I can promise you we'll get ours together.
Oh, yeah, that problem. Okay, you got it. Yeah, we have a lot of work to do, too, don't we? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Georgia. Let's see. We had Texas 2 left. Texas
Hello,
2.
FUD.
Yeah, hello, Texas.
Okay, my question is, when Iraq RVs and the rate is on a managed float, is there a limit on the amount the rate can increase per 90 days, and after the 2 years, are they stuck at that rate?
They're stuck for 2 years. They are married to that rate for 2 years. It can increase or decrease every 90 days. It's either 2 or 2.5%.
Okay, so after the 2 years, wherever they are, they can't increase any more to.
Oh, they can then.
Oh, they can. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, after 2 years they can.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Yes, ma'am. All right. I'm going to take a couple states due to we got 13 minutes left.
Ohio.
Ohio. One more.
Texas.
Texas. Okay. Ohio, go ahead.
Okay,
Michigan,
I got in.
Try to get you in.
I got in. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. I got in right at the point where they were saying something about the rate. I would say about a half an hour ago. Now, I understand. I'm kind of vague about that. That Ohio, rather the U.S. isn't taking a great part in this, or the banks that have been chosen. Will they be able to cash us in?
Sure.
Or do we have to go to Canada?
No. We can cash in right here in the United States. The Federal Reserve may have to print some more money, but we can cash in right here.
But that'll be all right. Okay, now the other question is about the tax. And
now, tax questions we probably will not be able to answer because we don't even know what they're going to do to us tax-wise.
Okay.
As soon as we find out, we'll definitely let you know.
Did you give a rate?
We don't give rates. In my opinion, I think they will be between $1.17 and somewhere near Kuwait, but that's as far as I'll give a rate.
Okay, then that's what I heard. Yeah. Okay, this is Roger in Northern Ohio. Thank you, and be glad.
Thank you, Roger.
Okay.
Texas, you're up.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I read a post on the forum saying basically SDBIs are like going to LOP and RV almost simultaneously, and like basically saying like a 125K note will be treated as a 125 note. They will be RV.
No, they've already said they're not going to LOP their currency.
Well, what they're saying basically like it'd be like we'll still get an RV rate, but we'll still get an RV, but won't make as much money as we thought we would.
No, like the lifting of the 3 zeros is out of the economy. It's not off the bill itself. For instance, if they decided to call in $100 bills, and you went to the bank and turned in your $100 bill, they're not going to give you a 10 or a 1. They're going to give you 5 20s.
Oh, okay.
They're not cutting any zeros off of anything. They're just lifting those high notes out of circulation.
Okay. All right, thank you then.
Thank you, sir. Michigan.
Yes, thanks. I was on a call the other night with, I think it was Revalue, and they had talked about a currency, an Asian currency, that was somewhere near Iraq's current level of 1,100 to the dollar, that had never revalued, that they were just kind of chugging along, and it's an economy there. And the question is, could they just keep going? And they thought, well, it's a possibility because here's another country that's doing it. Any thoughts on that?
So we really haven't followed any of the Asian currencies whatsoever, other than all of the rumors that are going around with no factual evidence, nothing behind any of these rumors whatsoever. So we really can't even, we can't respond to it, not with any logic here.
The only thing, if you're trying to compare it to Iraq, getting by with what they've been getting by with 1170 or 1166. The only way they could do it is to still use the U.S. dollar for major purchases, and that's what they're trying their best to get away from. Shabibi is trying to de-dollarize his country.
Yeah, it only makes sense with the history and where their neighboring countries are that they would want to put a value on it.
Right. Imagine
Similar
if
to
Canada
what it was.
had a $4 rate and we had, say, a dollar rate. Where would the Canadians come buy their cars?
Well, what's up? Were you in bed? No. Oh. Go ahead, talk. Well, I'm listening to the...
One other quick question, I guess. We've always heard about this, our Executive Order 13303 that apparently allows us to hold the Iraqi dinar. I read that order, and it doesn't really talk about the dinar in there. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, it doesn't. What 1333 does is it releases the sanctions from Iraq and allows investment in Iraq. And investment in Iraq also includes holding their currency. Before that point in time, before 1333, it would have been illegal for you to hold any of that Iraqi currency, because there's also, it mentions three other executive orders in there that were also repealed at the same time, which all have to do with investment in Iraq. And along with that, it was illegal to hold Iraqi currency at that point in time without those executive orders being there. So currency is not an investment. But it felt that the loophole was that the currency, because it allowed investment, you had to allow people to hold their currency. So that's how you're allowed to do it under that executive order.
I see. Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Michigan. We got time for maybe one or two more. Let's take them one at a time.
Michigan.
Okay, Michigan, go ahead.
Hey,
Texas?
Yeah.
Texas, I'll try to get Texas in there.
Oh.
We only have about 6 minutes.
Ohio.
Okay, go ahead. I got Michigan, Texas, and North Carolina. Go ahead, Michigan.
Okay, it's Michigan. I can't get over this fact of that there's 33 trillion Iraqi dinars printed. And that's an awful lot, I guess. And what is there, 2 million? You figure there's about 2 million Americans that have invested in dinar right now.
They say that, but I think there's quite a few more. If they count me as one, I've ordered for 7 different people. So,
okay.
If that tells you anything.
Yeah. Well, so collectively, us dinarians, I guess, as we're referred to, would hold. If everybody has $1 million dinars, which isn't too many really, that would be 2 trillion dinars right there. If you take 1 million times 2 million.
Well, our government holds some, France holds some, Russia holds some. I mean, there's a lot of foreign countries, governments that hold the dinar. And Shabibi has been pulling the large denominations off the street.
I understand that, but there's still so many out there that
he doesn't care about us.
I know that.
Yeah, he's only concerned with his economy.
Well, as he should be, But I just don't understand how the dinar can come out at very high, because we'd own the country, wouldn't we?
No.
Collectively?
Ours will go to the Federal Reserve, and they can hold them for 10 years until Shabibi says, hey, I want some of these back, or I need X amount back. And, they're going to depreciate over time, and by that time, they'll be pumping 12 million barrels a day easily. And, the dinar really won't.
Even at 12 million barrels, it can take 100 years to
come up with that kind of value. You know, you get into the trillions, and all of a sudden it does something. I mean, you add 3 more zeros out there from $1 billion, and then you're talking. You know, I have trouble wrapping my head around the fact that,
what are you having trouble with on the 33 trillion?
Well, why did they decide to print 33 trillion? Do you know where that came
Because their
from?
money's worth a quarter of a penny, and you need so many to make a transaction. So, and if you go to the market, citizens have to have, 50,000 dinar to buy a loaf of bread. They can't, they need. That's why he has to get rid of the zeros, and he has to bring that down. When he's done and he revalues, he's not going to have $33 trillion left. He's going to have whatever manageable float that he has left that is equal to the dollar that he revalues at. That's why he's pulling these all off the street. But they need that much money because it's only worth 1/10 of a penny or whatever we pay for it, and they need to bring, $100,000 dinars to all the transactions that they go through. So they need a lot of money in order to make their economy work. So that's why so many were printed, because of the value. Once he revalues, that number won't be 33 trillion anymore. It'll be whatever it's manageable for whatever RV rate he has. That's why he pulls those off the street, destroys them, and gets rid of them. He's pulling that down to manage what his currency's at now to supply and demand. He takes the supply down, the demand goes up. He's able to equalize whatever pressures he has. But once he has the new currency, he won't have 33 trillion left when he's done. He'll have whatever that number is. I think for whatever price he has. It'd be millions or whatever.
How did they decide 33 trillion though? Why not 38 trillion, or why not 27 trillion? I mean, where did 33 come from? I mean, that just.
Well, I read one article that said 30. I've seen 30 and 33.
Yeah, I mean, it was based on they had no value, that of 1/10 of a penny, and they needed to get money out there to how many the population was, and they just made a calculation that they would have.
Turn the press on, let it run for a week, and whatever.
Yeah, that's about what they did. They flew it in airplanes, huge airplanes went over when we brought it over. It was cargo jets going over, 10 or 12 of them at a time to bring that over to the central bank. So, it was a big process to get it all over there.
And then, do you know, Kuwait, I heard that mentioned tonight. They brought, they went through a similar type thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Do you have any history on that, how many they printed? And how
I don't, but you can go to the Kuwait Central Bank, and they have a whole synopsis there on what they did and what their money supply was and what it ended up being after they decided to revalue. They have a whole synopsis of that on their website at the Kuwait Central Bank.
You don't know what the timeline was? Is how long?
Yeah, they have it. They have it on their. They have it out there at the on their website.
Oh,
it goes through the whole history of their currency. It tells you what it was before the war, after the war, how much it was, and what they did. It's a whole synopsis of it.
Was that after the war? You're talking about the Gulf War then?
Yeah, the Gulf War. Yeah.
When we went in and kicked Saddam Hussein out. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. They got devalued down to nothing, and then after that they revalued to $3 or something like that. They opened up the banks, and it was in the newspapers, and it's there in their history.
Yeah, they were down in the pennies. They were like 8 or 10 cents before they revalued. All right, we got 2 more states left, and it's already 11 o'clock. So if y'all would hold it to one question, please. We got Texas next.
Yeah, I don't know if this is too stupid of a question, but I was wondering if I heard that you're supposed to record every dinar that you have as far as the serial numbers. Is this necessary to make a copy of every dinar you have?
I don't think it's necessary, but it wouldn't hurt anything. You could scan them through your computer and just have a computer image of it. And if you do print them in black and white and only print one side.
Oh, okay. Is there a reason for that?
It's against the law to print. Yeah, it's against the law to print it in color.
Oh, that's a good reason.
Counterfeiting, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Texas. North Carolina, we're going to finish up with you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's not North Carolina, it's South Carolina.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is Tori. First of all, I want to say thanks for all of the information that's on your site. I'm a recent Denarian, and all the information that's on there is really great. And I also saw the information about the tag accounts, heard some stuff about the LLCs and the trust. So I'm glad there's clarification on there about that. But my question was about the private banker that you're supposed to go see. Should you go see a private banker prior to cashing in or after the fact?
Personally, I'm going to wait till after the fact.
Okay.
Tim, can I interject here, please?
Go ahead, Yukon, because everybody's got a different opinion. But
I believe the question was, did you speak to a private banker after cashing in or before? Was that the question, ma'am?
Yes, because I was under the impression once you go and cash in, depending on where you did it, you would have that money wired into your non-interest account, and that was going to be my primary checking account.
Okay,
go ahead.
My recommendation would be to do your exchange or cash out after you've spoken to a private banker and set yourself up with all the proper professionals around you. Not
Yukon,
before.
I misunderstood the question. I thought she meant...
All right, but let me just finish the answer, Tim. I wouldn't do that before, ma'am. I wouldn't cash out before, because if you make an error there and you don't have the professionals around you, then the error is done. It's over. So I would do the setup with a private banker as well as your tax attorneys, accountants, whoever. Have all of them set up prior to that actual cash-in.
Okay, so basically you just give them a rough estimate of how much you're expecting to get, because it seems like nobody's really wanting to talk about it. And it's kind of hard to do that if they're kind of wanting to know where this money is coming from, and you can't really give them a definite answer as to, like, how many dinars you have, or they look at you funny when you say it's a dinar.
Let me get more specific with you so you understand what my answer is.
Okay.
Once the RV takes place, now the world will know that the RV took place, correct?
Correct.
At that point, it will be a no-brainer. You can speak with the private bankers and the all of the professionals pertaining to very specifics of what you're holding and what's the best way to go.
Okay.
Prior to the RV is a different ballgame. Prior to the RV, you want to sort of, just if you're talking to a private banker or those people, you just want to say that, look, you're expecting to come into some high-volume money and you're just searching out which is the best way to go. End the case.
Okay.
But after the RV is a different ballgame, okay?
That's
okay,
the question
thank you.
I thought she was asking, Yukon.
I'm sorry, what was that then?
That was the question I thought she was asking, pre or post RV.
Right.
I'm not, after it RVs, I'm not even going to do anything for 3 weeks until I find out exactly what the ramifications are tax-wise and everything else.
Okay, because that's kind of what I was trying to fill out now. Like, I saw information about the different tax brackets, and right now I'm low down on the ladder, so I just kind of wanted the clarification. And I did see, like I said, that article, so I saw pretty much everybody that needed to be in the loop, or should I say my new circle of friends that I needed to have. So, again, I want to thank y'all for coming on and talking about the news that you're hearing and kind of refuting a lot of all of this other mess that's on these blog sites, because it's really confusing.
I'm glad that we were able to help him.
Well,
yes,
thank
it
you.
is confusing.
Thank you, South Carolina.
I love you, Mama. Won't be long. Hang on.
All right, Yukon.
Well, again, thank everybody for being here tonight. Hope you got a little bit more settled in. We're getting close. Just relax, cool it. It'll happen when it happens. And that's the way it should happen, by the way. We shouldn't be working on the edge of our fingernails on the edge of the wall every single day, every single night. It will happen when it happens. We're getting close. So just calm down and move forward. Hope you wake up vertical tomorrow. Having said that, we're saying good night to everybody and have a great evening. Thank you again for being on the call.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. God bless y'all.
Good night, everybody.